Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Absolute Women's Football Show. We can't wait to be here. Apologies, we're a couple of minutes late. My little girl decided to be sick all over me, so I had to do a quick change, but into a very fitting outfit indeed for this evening. And we can see the topical tag on there that matches as well. But of course, we're going to talk all about it. We do have the lovely Mr. Ant Waterson joining us later. He's just trying to log on. He has got Rosie's broken laptop, so he's running a couple of minutes late. But don't worry, Ant will be here joining us. But of course, we've got the lovely Paul, but we've also got a new face joining us this evening. Adam, welcome to the pod. How are you?
Hello. Yes. Thanks for having me on. It is an honour, I should say, not just be on the podcast, but a award-winning podcast.
Hey.
We should drop that in when we can. It was great to sing. And last time we spoke was actually on our podcast. I believe it was when we were talking about Aston Villa
Yes.
on your other podcast, we should say. So it's great to see the roles have reversed, and now I'm on the other side of the fence, and I'm looking forward to it. It's good to talk about all things WOSO.
Exactly. And of course, you're going to be our resident Arsenal expert for the evening.
Expert might be pushing it, but I'll do my best.
Considering the stuff you post, Adam, like it's incredible. Like goes all the way back, the history of it. But again, we'll talk all about it.
Oh yes, yeah.
So thank you very much. When I did log on and no one was in the chat, I was like, oh no, has everyone remembered it's Wednesday? However, Emma kicked us all off. She says, evening team. Yes, we've got lots to talk through. Good evening to Chris. Good evening to Mark. The chat is filled with people. Matthew is absolutely buzzing about a certain person being confirmed. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it, Matthew. Don't you worry. Good evening to Emily as well. Good evening, good evening. Good evening to Tony in the chat. Just thank you so much for coming back. And good evening to Zach as well, our friend Zach. So thank you so much. Right. So what we're going to do then, we have got, of course, the Subway Cup. There will be many puns coming throughout the night. I've been calling it the Meatball Marinara Cup. I know we've been calling it all sorts of things. So we've all kind of got other screens going on. Adam's going to keep us up to date on the Arsenal game. Durham Chelsea has just finished. Thank you, Chris. 5-0. Annoyingly for Durham, they did hold Chelsea off. It was 1-0 at half time. I've got the Man United game, the rematch, on my screen here. And with everything, we will keep you up to date. And of course, in the chat, we know you like to do that as well. So what we're going to start with, just some latest news. And then when Ant comes on, we're going to talk about the Championship first this week. And then we'll talk about some more news. And then we've got the WSL, of course, as well. We've got so much. Emma did say, are we going to make it through before bedtime? We're going to try. That's a Team Chaos promise right there for you. So all of the drama was kicking off, especially last night. All of these updates coming through, transfer news, rumours, and yeah, we just can't wait to do it. However, we're going to start on a slightly bittersweet note. Adam, we're going to come to you because there was the announcement, of course, that our lovely Jen Beattie has announced her retirement from football, hasn't she? So as our Arsenal representative this evening, what can you tell us about Jen Beattie as her, just how she was as a player, especially for maybe newer fans of the game who maybe didn't get to see her in her prime?
Yes, well, that's the thing. A lot of the people who will know Jen Beattie nowadays will know her at a time at Arsenal as a warrior defender. Yeah. But she wasn't always a warrior defender. She was a striker. She started her career as a forward. Started in Scotland, Queen's Park, Celtic, made the first move to Arsenal, should be said, in 2009. Came as a striker. And this was just after we got the likes of Leanne Sanderson had gone to Chelsea, who was one of the greatest strikers Arsenal's ever had. And so big shoes to fill. What's the best way to introduce yourself to a new set of fans? Score a hat-trick away at Chelsea and win a 3-2 game, having gone 2-0 down with a late winner. And, the rest is history. Was there for about 4 years. Holds the distinction of being the first player to score a WSL goal at Meadow Park, which if you were following my socials, I did put up there. It's absolute screamer against Bristol Academy. But sadly, in 2013, a lot of star talent did leave Arsenal. Yen Beattie was one of them. She went over to France, played for Montpellier, came back, played for Man City with a loan at Melbourne City as well. And at Man City got plenty of trophies. That's when Nick Cushing was in charge. They picked up a lot of FA Cups, a lot of League Cups, knocked Arsenal out in the League Cup with a late winner at Academy Stadium, as it was then known. And then she came back to Arsenal as a defender now, and was a warrior at the back, but sort of on the downward curve, shall we say, trajectory of career. She was in her latter years, became more of a substitute player. Arsenal would typically play back three whenever she was used. Think back to the moment everybody, I think, the modern day fan will remember for is the Wolfsburg game, and it's the moment that lives in Arsenal heritage forever. Arsenal have no players left. They've had to put Yen Beattie up as an emergency forward. She scores an equaliser in a sold-out Emirates Stadium against Wolfsburg. Takes the game to extra time, and obviously Arsenal didn't win the game, and it was all a bit bittersweet at the end. But that moment is sort of been immortalised forever. And then our final season, I think she got one more goal against Paris, and then scored a winning penalty against Spurs in a shootout, and that was it. But much loved, and we can't talk about Yen Beattie, but before we move on, we have to mention probably the biggest moment of her career. She scored a header against Brighton Hove Albion in a 5-0 win away from home, and which is ironic considering we're actually playing Brighton at the moment. But it was a special moment for her because it was a few days after her diagnosis for cancer. And that was the moment that the players could celebrate with her, because it's been such an overwhelming moment for her. She's obviously fought and won, as Yen Beattie always does. She wins her fights, and she won that one. And it was, I think she said in interviews afterwards, that was one of the most special moments of her career. Retired now, but she's not leaving the game forever. We'll see her on TV. We'll see her in the club in coaching, I've no doubt, but an absolute legend. So thank you very much, Yen Beattie.
And honestly, no one else could have summed her up better, Adam. That was phenomenal. Like she's such a legend, such an icon. And I think the meme of her running into Alexandra Pop will live forever in everyone's minds, rent free.
Absolutely.
As that perfect moment. And hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm all right now. Yeah, a bit stressful day and stressful logging on, and we need a new laptop, I think.
I was going to say, stop using Rosie's broken one.
Well, I asked if I can borrow the black one that her dad had, but she hasn't replied back to us yet. So
too busy at that darn Chelsea game. This is Adam. Adam, this is Ant.
Hello.
Hello, Ant.
Right. When I looked at there, I thought it was Adam Sandler. I was getting excited for a minute. Does he like women's football?
Just because I've obviously met before, who is it you support, Ant? It's very difficult to tell.
Well, we've got the two red and whites that side of the screen. That's what's going on. I love it. Paul, Nancy's on it already. This is
yeah, the cat is Nancy. You will see her because she will make an appearance.
You'll hear her.
And you'll definitely hear her. And you'll also hear me as a half carry occasionally make rude jokes.
So if there's a running commentary going on, Paul's partner.
Breaking news, Arsenal have just scored.
Yes. What minute is it?
Just 64th minute. Arsenal have just scored on the stream. It might be Russo, it might be Freya. It was just a bit of a scramble, so I will update when I get a bit more information.
And that's why we have you on the pod, Adam. Thank you so much. In the Man United derby. Oh, I don't know why I said that. The Manchester derby. It's still 2-1 to City. Although, was that a little replay of something else going on? Maybe. But yeah, apparently. I was surprised Keating's been picked to play again. Not gonna lie, I know for confidence-wise, probably get her back on the pitch. But personally, I might have swapped him.
Freya scored it.
Freya scored it. Thank you so much, Freya. Leon Hudson Morning. Thank you very much. Okay, perfect. And we'll keep you up to date with those. Thank you. Right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the big transfer news that we're all talking about. Then we're going to go into the championship. Then we're going to come back to some other bits and pieces transfer-wise. Maybe talk about someone called Bruce Littlejohn. And then we'll finish off with the WSL. So everyone keep watching, keep listening. And hopefully we'll talk about your favourite moment next from the week. So go on then. It's happened. The record-breaking transfer was confirmed. Was it last night?
Yes, it was last night. Actually, it was last night because last night I was recording my other pod, and we were talking about something. I had to step in and say, "Breaking news! It's confirmed," and we were all very dejected for about 5 or 10 minutes when it's sort of like, oh.
It's one of them, isn't it, where you just think, how much money has Chelsea got to spend? So if you missed it, this is, of course, the big news that Naomi Girma, shame Rosie isn't here, actually, because she was losing her mind last night when it was confirmed. The Athletic, I believe, in ESPN reported the deal had concluded between San Diego Wave and Chelsea for a reported £900,000, which is a world record-breaking fee, as we've said. Paul, this is massive. Absolutely massive news. What impact is she going to make on the WSL, having a player like that, especially at Chelsea?
Well, she's the best defender in the world. So
simple as, yeah.
You know, it's you can't get past that. I mean, Chelsea Chloe is usually fairly calm, as watchers of the podcast will know, and she and Rosie came into the chat like the Kool-Aid man. Like literally, we were just sat there in the chat on the Saturday night, and suddenly Chloe and Rosie both just started screaming "Girma!" really loudly. And then we went and looked, and we found out it had happened. And I think the most telling thing, and again, like Adam says, the fact that opposition fans are instantly going, "Oh, for God's sake," because the head loss on red sections of women's football Twitter, particularly Manchester United, more so than Arsenal, but you know, was just like it was literally just why? How come we not do that? Or you know, it's not fair, almost.
Yeah. I just before I let you speak, Adam, just because I will forget. I saw someone say the difference this means with Chelsea is the fact that they're defender down, sent back down, and they haven't just plugged it with someone who can do a job. They've gone out and got the best person they could for that job, and that being the difference between some recruitment and Chelsea's recruitment. But yeah, Adam, as you know, someone on the other side of this, seeing a major rival, what were your thoughts?
I will just quickly say another score update. McKay's made it 2-0. Majestic bit of pass and moving, and it's a tap in. But they passed the ball very well around defenders, low cross through, and a tap in, 2-0. So Arsenal sort of kicked into groove. I love that they've saved all the goals for when I'm on this live stream and not when I was watching it before. Which, thank you, Arsenal.
But now we get the live reaction.
Well, with live watch-alongs and all that. As for defending, I must confess I am not a big US women's national team follower. The only time I really watch them play is when England play them. But I know people who do watch them, and they tell me very passionately that Naomi Girma is a really, 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 really good defender, and we'd love it if she came to Arsenal. So, okay. So those people who I've been speaking to are naturally very, 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 very disappointed, and I'm so I get that because I've got any emotional attachment to that. I don't really feel that sort of pain, but I know Chelsea do this a lot. It's not just with Girma. It's like Myra Ramirez. Sam Kerr's injured, but to get Myra Ramirez in, to get one of the best forwards in the world, to get one of the best defenders in the world in. What's interesting, I think, from a wider perspective, is the more US players are coming to play in the WSL. And I wind the clock back a bit, and I think about when US players previously played in the WSL. I think a lot of them actually struggled a bit, and I think more like during lockdown, we had the likes of Rose Lavelle and sort of the Heath and Press, and I don't think they played anywhere near to the level of fitness, but Rose Lavelle especially, I don't think really any of them played to the level that we know that they can play at. Like Emily Fox has come over to Arsenal and just boom, just amazing. And I expect Girma will be the same. It does have an air of, if you ever watched the Avengers movies, it has an air of the bit when Thanos puts the last Infinity Stone in the gauntlet. It does feel like Chelsea are just going to they're going to basically just complete and at that point it's the quadruples in the bag, they're going invincible, they're going to finally claim the Champions League, and it's all over for everybody. And it does feel like that as a fan. You just think, how can we possibly compete now they've got Girma? But that is the thing about football is, Chelsea have been hoovering up a lot of talent for many, many years, but any team is beatable, and That's the challenge we've got to face at the weekend because we're the ones up next. I've seen Chelsea buy many talented players I'd like to see in our team, but I think also we should always remember that our own teams have our own talents and we shouldn't overlook them as well.
Well said.
I do think that Adam's point about previous American stars not really cutting it in the WSL, because Alex Morgan turned up for Spurs and was on the bench for a decent
Alex Morgan,
for example. And mentioning Emily Fox, are you sitting down because I'm going to say nice things about Arsenal?
I know you're an unbiased, open individual, so by all means, the floor is yours.
Well,
reputation precedes you, Paul.
some of your fellow Reds don't, so I'm just kind of.
I'm not my fellow Reds. I am my own person, so I judge people on how I see them and not how others say.
But like Emily Fox coming over, Adam mentioning that, she has come over and been very impressive for Arsenal. And I think she and now Naomi Girma are the first generation of American players who have kind of realised that the US team doesn't win games by just running more. Like
Lena Hurtig showed that in the World Cup.
Indeed, they're a lot more technically skilled. They're a lot more positionally aware. And they are aware that there is another team on the pitch who can cause them problems as opposed to just running around doing it. And they can defend. Naomi Girma positionally is incredible. Like, I know there was a lot of focus on Leah Williamson barely having to make a tackle during the World Cup because of her being good positionally. But Girma is another level above. Like, it's just the way she plays. It's the calmness that she'll bring, and with her and Millie Bright, you'll now have the perfect yin and yang, because Millie Bright would head away a meteorite if she needed to, and Naomi Girma is kind of the more cultured ball playing defender that Chelsea have perhaps lacked a bit. They've been trying to get with players like Natalie Bjorn, but they've perhaps lacked it a little at the centre back. You know, Girma can run a game from centre back, and I just think it's very funny that people were getting all excited about Manchester City's signings, and then Chelsea finally decided, yeah, all right, actually, we're not waiting till the summer. Get your checkbook out, Todd. Job done.
Yeah, we've waited till nearly the end of January. I've
got some breaking news. I've got some breaking massive news. And I'm really proud to break this live on the podcast. Kyra Cooney-Cross has scored her first goal for Arsenal, and it's an absolute rocket, and it's 3-0. We have waited so long for this moment, but Kyra Cooney-Cross is off the mark for Arsenal, and it's 3-0. So hats off to her. And I got a lot of fans who really love Kyra and have been waiting for this moment, and I'm absolutely chuffed for them.
That's her first ever one for Arsenal.
First goal for Arsenal, top bins, edge of the box. Watch it back when you get the chance. It's a brilliant goal.
I've just had a look. Assisted by Caldente. I mean, how much of a perfect start is that?
Absolutely. Say no more.
I love it. Hey, Adam, you've got fans already. Loving the enthusiasm.
Oh, thank you, Emma. Thank you. I'll try to sustain it as long as I can.
I was going to say we've got lots to get through. We need to keep going. So a massive signing for Chelsea. Do we think Bjorn will stay as a backup, or will someone be able to poach her on a loan? Do we think? Anyone got any thoughts?
I don't know. Everton quite like a loan, and she used to play for Everton.
Villa.
Villa. Well, it's Villa. Oh, right. I'm trying to remember all the.
Chelsea... No. So Natalie Bjorn did used to play for Everton. However, Villa needed centre back.
Oh, you're trying to entice her. Oh, I see. Sorry. hint. I don't know. You never know.
Emma's there as well. Can Villa have her? Yes, please. Now you've got enough rotation, Tony.
They actually haven't, because Rosie was talking about how they have no centre backs at the moment, apart from Borman on loan at PSV. But they can just have Shirka Nuskin playing in 5 different positions at once.
Yeah, she'll do it all. She'll do it all from that position. Absolutely love it. Emily, yes, I would. Because what we said we wanted, I was going to talk about this, but I'll just briefly mention it now. We would ideally like, as we've lost Kenzadali, a number 10 would be nice, and also another centre back, because we keep getting ones that are injured. So again, just as a bit of rotation and a bigger bench would be quite nice. Tony said there the plan.
You're not asking for much. You're like a 7-year-old at Christmas.
Hey, you haven't seen the rest of me list, and hang on. I could keep going. So Tony's put there the plan is Brighton Girma for first centre back pairing and Bjorn and Mpome as a second centre back pairing. Ooh.
I think the thing with Girma that's so exciting is she's the only US player who is genuinely as good as everyone says they are.
Which is quite nice. Yeah.
Because Lindsay Horan isn't as good as claimed. The triple espresso line I am cynical about, I think.
Can I just get on this one, Paul? Do you rate Trinity Rodman?
Yes, but what she was, all the talk of her when she was 17, 18 is that she was the second cut. She was the next, and she's not.
Well, I just want to congratulate Paul on alienating the entire US fan base for the show in one fell swoop. Be very proud of yourself.
It's mainly
chaos for a reason, Adam. That's
I do think though the thing with Trinity Rodman as well, she is a fascinating individual because if you read about her relationship with her dad, for example, of course, is the ex-NBA star Dennis Rodman.
Yes,
it's actually a pretty sad story. In what she's overcome, because she has said, I can't remember what the exact quote was, but there was definitely on a podcast a little while ago, and she was talking about how she didn't really want to connect with her dad, and if it were possible to do what some other players have had and use her mum's maiden name instead and be known as, I don't know what it was, but be known as that, she would. Because by all accounts, he was and is absolutely mental. Like he has imbibed so many illegal substances. He's probably a walking, cannabis farm and all sorts. But
wasn't he a wrestler at some point as well?
He tried to be, yeah. He tried to be a wrestler. He tried to be a pop star. He
was on Celebrity Big Brother. Don't forget about that.
He was very.
That's where I know him from.
That's usually, if you're on that show, that's usually a sign of where your career is, isn't it? That and the jungle.
And he was very. But see, this is the thing, Trinity Rodman. If I'm talking about that triple espresso line, the player I'm thinking of first of all is Sophia Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
Although Nike making that advert before the World Cup and then the USA going out in the quarterfinals was hilariously funny.
Yes, it was. It was very, very funny. And it was like we're all talking about the US or something, and they were sort of saying how everyone's underestimating us. And then Lena Hurtig got a penalty over the line, and they went out. It was something about we know how we'll beat them. We can do this, and then it was showing how they couldn't. You couldn't.
And there was the England team Brussels being scared of Sophia Smith, who has done absolutely nothing against England in the games that she's played against them. I'm just saying. And did very, very little in the World Cup because she is a fantastic player, but she suffers from the curse of US players, which is that they're all overrated.
But
they're just not as good as they said.
They did win gold at the Olympics, so they have won. They're not Emma Hayes in charge. They have won some silverware, well, goldware, you could argue. So they did win a gold medal at the Olympics. So,
but they are. I don't know. I look at them and go, are they as good? Are they? If I was picking the team I didn't want England to face, they're not as good as Spain.
Spain are the ones I'm fearing, and we're going to play. I bet you, forget the group, we're playing them in the Euros at some point. Spain I think they are what the US were in like the 2007s, 2000.
I think Spain are better because I think they're technically better.
Yeah, they're the next generation. They're the next iteration of the dominant force in world football. If they get the right manager in and the players are sorted, then they could be like what Barcelona are in Europe. They could dominate the world stage. But we're at the genesis of that. It remains to see how that will progress in the years to come. But certainly, Spain, I would say, is the best team in the world at the moment.
I do think though that Naomi Girma is basically the only US women's national team player who is as good as the Americans think she is.
Yeah.
Lives up to the hype. I will just say officially, Man City, Man United have finished. City did win 2-1. Thank you to a lovely goal by Lily Murphy. I have just rewound it slightly because it looked like a fight was kicking off between two of the technical staff shouting at each other. Skinner looks fuming. Tiny next to Gareth Taylor. I never realised how small he was. But managers are fine, ball shaking hands, but it looked like it was kicking off in the technical area. So if anyone else was watching it and saw that as well, do let us know. But yes, it has finished. Manchester City 2, United 1. So they've got revenge for the weekend.
I'm not surprised by that because after it finished 4-2 at the weekend, I thought it's not going to, because the game obviously got the repeat tonight. I thought it's not going to end the same way. 100%. It's not going to be another revenge, as you say, and that's exactly how it panned out. As I thought Man City would win that one.
If it did end the same way, though, that would be gutting for City.
Would you call beating them in the Pizza Cup, the Sandwich Cup revenge, though? You'd rather have the league win, wouldn't you? If Skinner's going to be going, we duffed you.
Oh, no, don't condescend the League Cup, my friend. That is a world-class trophy, aspired by all. The name may have changed, but the game remains the same. It's the League Cup, man, and it's the best of the rest.
Oh, I love that.
I'm just biting my lips. I'm Adam, you are provoking.
I will live in this denial for as long as I can. The League Cup rules.
There is a chance here. Even Leslie Russo could finish, and I'm not taking it. I'm like,
oh, this is great. People should pay for this content. This is fantastic. In other news, West Ham are beating Spurs 2-1.
Come on, Lions.
Bit of an upset. Considering the boring game Spurs had at the weekend, I saw this coming. But again, we're going to talk all about it. But championship time.
Best league in the world. Here we go.
Sorry, it's 4-0.
4-0.
Yep, 4-0. I'm just going to quickly find out who scored.
It's going to be Russo now.
Deflected, loops, and it's keeper's flapped at it. Oh, it's a chip. It's a chip from the edge of the box, and the keeper was off, and it's gorgeous. It's the keeper was bunched for it. Its ball's come into the box, and someone's chipped over the keeper, and there's hands on people's mouths. It might be another goal for Freya, but we'll wait and see.
Oh, it's come up as Caldente on one.
Caldente, there you go. Caldente chip, edge of the box chip. So 4-0, Arsenal through to the semi-finals.
Have you ever thought about going into commentary? Because I would quite happily listen to you.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I must say, I'm sorry I'm now interrupting the entire flow of the podcast, but I should say on match days, when I am anxious, I do just commentate from the crowd. I just say what's happening on the pitch. I love commentary, and it's not something I'll go probably ever through, but it's when I was a kid, I always thought, it'd be great to be a commentator, just to talk non-stop for 45 minutes, 90 minutes. But that's what podcasts are for, and live streams. So just do it in this instead, and it works great.
Adam, you could definitely do it, and you are far better than a lot of people we have to suffer.
It's very kind of you, Paul.
We have a commentator on the podcast, don't we?
We do indeed.
Paul there trying to be smug, trying not to be smug.
I'm not trying to be smug. I'm worried about the competition at this point.
So
just keep my head down. It's fine.
Yeah, I've dabbled.
I've done anything I do in my time. Oh, I love it. Right then, championship time. Okay, so obviously best league in the world.
Yes.
So it's about time we started first with the championship. And again, if you're not watching it, why not? Because you need to. So Ant, we're going to start with you. Start with best team in the world. Sunderland 2, Southampton 0. Massive 3 points away from home, wasn't it?
Can I just quickly say before we start my rotor at work? That little green and blue and yellow was lovely. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, class. Good start. Obviously, we're 100% in January in 2025. We'll take that. Obviously, we've only played 2 games, but it doesn't matter. Still got to beat them, and obviously coming off the back of quite an easy win over Exeter. Who, to be fair to Exeter, they're not a great side, but they didn't have run you know what I mean, and give it everything, even though we beat them 7-0. Not 7-1, maybe 7-0. But considering, like a lower level opposition, I know a few people went down and said that they really felt that home was a great cup tie. So yeah, fair play to Exeter. But yeah, obviously we've come off the battle of going down to Southampton, and I thought this was going to be a really, really hard one because we were without Tash Fenton and without Jenna Deer in the middle of midfield. So Libby McKinnon sat to play like the 4 role, like what Tash does, and Kiva Flannery came in. We've got change in left back because Grace Aid's been dropped for some reason, but Mary Corbin's come in. And to be fair to Mary, she's done really, really well. She's a winger, as a trade. But bit of a story about Mary Corbin. 2 years ago, she was playing for Redcar. So, the meteoric rise of Mary Corbin is unbelievable. Yeah. So she's playing for, I think it's 6th tier team, I think Redcar are. Playing for them 2 years ago. Got into Sunderland under-23s last year. Made a massive difference for the under-23s. Knew there was something in it. Now she's been promoted the first time. It's just stuff that dreams are made of. And she's a world champion kickboxer. So, even if you do get past her, she'll just, yeah, so class, just brilliant talent. Yeah, exactly. But, pardon me. Obviously going down to Southampton St Mary's, I thought it would be a very, very difficult game, but I don't think Southampton turned up. And we did. Played really well. Should have been out of sight before we got the 2 goals. Who got the first one? Eleanor Dale, who's now scored, I think, 12 goals in 9 games for us, considering, when we last played Southampton at home, she missed a penalty for Amanda. And I think her head was down then. She needed a goal, eventually got one of the 5th or 6th time of asking against Durham, and she just hasn't looked back. I think she might have scored in every game since, or every game where we've scored. She's obviously scored in, so she's been on fire. She gets the first one. Really good work by Emily Scarr on the wing. And then, like I say, do we sit on it, or do we go for another one? Now we're in for another one. Got another one. Nice work again by Emily Scarr, and the ball eventually through. I think a few players finds Katie Kitchen, who just runs over the top of the defence, goes through 1-on-1, puts it away, 2-0. There we go. Happy days going down there. We went down there last year and won, so seems to be a nice hunting ground for the lasses at the minute. But a really long journey after last week, going to Exeter, then going to Southampton. I think we've got Portsmouth away coming up as well. So the air miles are getting really well spent at the moment. But now we're playing.
I just want to stay over at this point. Just might as well. Just a pity some of them are college students and that, isn't it? Or uni students. I know,
footballers, but yeah, just class. To be fair, like I said, just from the start of the season, I remember obviously when we played Birmingham and we got beat 5-0. I was on this podcast saying, "What the hell we're doing this season?" Now we're 4th in the table, 3 points off top. We've got a chance. We've got difficult games to come. We're obviously starting on Saturday down at Blackburn, which is not a very pleasant kick-off, 5:30 on a Saturday afternoon when it was meant to be on Sunday at 2, but never mind.
It's changed it, didn't it?
Mad. And it is, obviously I'm known for one of Ant's rants. That's a big rant for me at the minute. Why? I don't know. I think it's Blackburn that's changed it, but why should, personally, a fan of both the men and the women's side have to pick which game I want to go to, which, unfortunately...
Of course, because the men are playing on Saturday, aren't they? Yeah.
So I'm obviously going to that one instead. But I feel really bad about it, but it is what it is. But it should be at Sunday. Why is it kicking off at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night? I mean, no one's going to be there, are they? You know what I mean? It's a strange kick-off time. I think only a handful of Sunderland fans are going down because obviously the same issues that I've got. And then another one regarding Southampton on Sunday. Bearing in mind, I think there was 7,000 there, so the stadium wasn't full or anything like that. They wouldn't let the Sunderland fans sit together, so that you had to sit in your actual seat, which I think is poor. Got to be honest, I think that's really poor from Southampton. But if we're trying to promote the game, try and make in the bigger stadiums, obviously try and make the game. Try and make the atmosphere a little bit more louder, everything like that, and then you scattergunning everybody about. I think it's really poor. I really do, and I really hope that they learn from that mistake because it's never happened in the past. And I hope any club that's looking to do that really has a think about it, because you need to have an away end, don't you? I think that's what they're going to have to start doing is having a designated away end for away fans, because Sunderland are taking a few away fans now. A lot of people have got to grips with how good the team is, and are really starting to go down. So it's a shame where you're having to sit sort of like 3 or 4 rows away from other Sunderland fans or a separate block. But that is what it is. That's just a little bit of a dampener on the game, to be honest. But there we go. But at least we won 3 points, up the 4th, above Durham, above the Mags. Happy days.
Because when they were selling tickets, and were they just selling it like a free for all?
So no, so Southampton were obviously they were giving away tickets as well, weren't they? But tickets were free and everything. But when Sunderland fans were going down, you got a ticket, but you also got like a seat number and a row number. Now, every away game. So I went to Reading last year at the Majestic Stadium, I think it's still known as, and we got exactly the same.
Select car leasing.
That's the one, yeah. But when we went there, we had like a row, a seat number, this, that, and the other. But because there was like probably around about 50 to 60 Sunderland fans there, we all just said, well, we'll just sit at the opposite side of where the Reading fans were. So we all moved over and all that. So we had like our little place. No one said anything. We just asked if it was all right. I went, yeah, no problem. And that there wasn't an issue. And, the atmosphere between both sets of fans was really good. There was a bit of back and forth and all that stuff. Yeah. But you're taking that away from how you can say, and especially at the bigger stadiums where, you do struggle to fill them anyway because, there's not going to be 30, the best in the world. Southampton aren't going to sell 30,000 tickets, especially when Southampton's men, even though as bad as they are, were playing on the same day at the same time. So, you're not going to sell as many tickets. 7,000 still brilliant, don't get us wrong. But the fact that you've got people mixed up, I don't agree with that whatsoever, to be honest.
No, because then, like, some matches you go to where you've got your seat number and stuff, and I know Villa have done it a couple of times where you've booked it and then you turn up and they go, "Oh, sit anywhere."
Yeah.
Okay. Because when we went away to Charlton, they did that. And we were like, "Oh, we're here," and they went, "No, Villa are over there. They've chosen that bit." Like, oh, okay.
I think they might have did it at Watford last year as well, where there was like fans sitting, like Sunderland fans sitting on one side. But then other Sunderland fans sitting on the other side, but then they wouldn't let us. They're like, "Oh no, you're in your place now." And it was like, "Wait, does it make a difference? You know what I mean? Is it going to be a safety issue that we're all going to sit next to each other?" But like I say, for me, why don't you just section the corner off? Let away fans, sell the away fans. That block there, you've got that block. That's what's here, 500, 600, or not even that, 200 tickets. If the spare seats are spare seats, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then you put the home fans in their own block, and then you can have that back and forth banter between the two sets of supporters. Yeah. It's a strange one.
Because you need that banter, don't you? When it's and it makes the atmosphere better.
Yeah. I mean, even at Everton, where obviously it's it's not a full seated stadium, but you always see the away fans stand on the halfway line to the top goal. Where the cafe is, the away fans have always stood there from wherever I've started going. You know what I mean? They've always known that's where away fans go. And some like to stand behind the goal or whatever. That's fine, or they might want to sit down. But there's still that little bit of banter. Whereas if you're mixing matching people in an all-seater stadium, you're gonna have a domino effect, really, aren't you? Where it's just not gonna be the same atmosphere. Because you have people like singing one song, some people singing the other song from the same end. Just doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's a conscious decision, and I think it's this stupid bloody insistence that women's football, everybody sits together and everybody gets on, and everyone is friends, even at derby games.
It's family friendly, don't you know?
We've had that worse at Arsenal. We've had stewards tell off fans for swearing in the stands. And they said why, and it's like it's women's football, and we're just like, that's outrageous. That's like, you can't. That's right. I know, and the thing is that banter with the fans, especially even with profanity, is brilliant, and especially when goalkeepers take goal kicks. If you're ever in Meadow Park and the goalkeeper's taking a goal kick, the opposition keeper is the away keeper is in front of the North Bank taking goal kicks. It's work. I mean, have a lot of Crystal Palace. It's an absolute riot.
It's a classic one. That one.
It's a classic one, and it's brilliant. But we have that. We a lot of a chance with that as well, and it's just like it's the policing and that sort of that mix. I don't agree with. Segregate them, have an away end. Arsenal are now very big on trying to make sure we have an away end, and it really improves the atmosphere. I've been on away trips to Manchester United and Liverpool with a stocked away end, singing away, and it's brilliant. And you wouldn't get that if we were scattered around the entire stadium, just singing on our own. So
out of curiosity, Adam, are you guys allowed to sing one of the best chants in English football, which is asking what people think of Tottenham?
Well, this is the thing. We do sing it, but we're trying to encourage not singing it at non-Spurs games, because for me it's a North London derby chant. So it makes no sense to sing about Spurs when you're playing Everton. So that's the thing. So I think more of it is more of an annoyance thing. Come on, there are better songs we can sing about the players than just going to that chant, which is a great chant to sing on a North London derby. It's very funny, along with Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. But I think the preference is to be more creative and imaginative, and we've done that with a lot of our players having their own songs. And I think that gives it's better to have multiple chants than the same chant on a loop all the time. That's just my opinion anyway.
Related to that, why is it when Arsenal are on TV, you only hear the Russo chant?
Because Russo's very good and she keeps scoring, and she keeps scoring. We keep singing about her scoring, so it's kind of an infinite loop. But other songs do get a go. We've got a Renee Slegger chant, which we might talk about later, but that which has got a few airings at Meadow Park. But Russo is extremely popular, and so she has about 3 different chants.
I do You've got a really good Stina Blackstenius chant, though, haven't you? It's a chameleon, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I know the guy made it. Was very tough with it. And the good thing is that the stadium DJ knows this. So when we're warming up and they're playing the songs, they will play the songs that they know that the chants are based on. So the classic one is they'll play Shake what's it called? The Shake It Al Dente song, Twist and Shout by the Beatles. They'll play that cover of it, and then everyone will sing that. Or they'll Free from Desire or Karma Chameleon or stuff like that. 24. That was again, I'm going way off topic now, but playing Voulez-Vous at Molineux and the League Cup final, and we all sung the Kobe Lacasse chant. Again, one of the best memories of last season. All hail the League Cup. Speaking of which, so it's full time, by the way, and it's finished 4-0 to Arsenal. That's that way.
I do remember the Meadow Park stewards. I do remember when I was commentating when Coventry United went down there, the much lamented Coventry United. We're not going to rant about that much.
Now Rugby Borough,
unfortunately. But we won't start that one. Days about that. I do remember because the commentary position at Meadow Park isn't one. You just get given a seat with a plug underneath it.
Yeah, you sit in the media box.
And I do remember Jem Beattie going straight through the back of Liv Ferguson, I think it was.
Probably.
And a lovely, sweet old lady sat just across the fence from the media box, stood up and shouted very loudly, "Welcome to the fucking big league!"
That's fantastic.
And I just kind of looked. I was, mid commentary, just kind of went.
Yeah,
she looked like someone's gran, like genuinely, like.
We're a passionate bunch, us Arsenal fans.
It was like, because obviously never got to experience obviously meeting or seeing Maria or anything, but it was that kind of vibe from her. Normally, just everyone loves her, and then just a massive welcome to the big. Okay.
Yeah. That would have been Maria, because Maria sat in the East End where I sat, and that was actually her last season as an Arsenal fan, which is quite sad, really. But yeah, I can tell you that we're a lot more passionate than that now compared to that season. That season was very much the last of the quieter ones, because obviously after that we had Euro 2022 and everything just changed after that. So that's you watch back some of those games, the North Bank's quite sparse. You watch games nowadays and it's absolutely rammed. And so honestly,
sometimes the camera pans in Meadow Park and I'm like, is that safe? Because everyone just seems like on top of each other. But you all look so happy.
It's brilliant, and it's funny. Again, it's funny. I've said it many times. I'm doing a lot of video archive work, so I'm trying to recover and preserve a lot of old Arsenal women games. And I go back through some of the older seasons, even when we were in the league in 2018. Well, not 2019 because the North Bank didn't exist then, but 2019-20 and so onwards. And it's like 5, 6, 7 people stood in odd places. Could never imagine that place full, and it's loud and it's banging on the walls, and that's what I want every stadium to be. That's what I want Southampton to be. That's what Sunderland away at St Mary's. That's what it should be, and hopefully one day it will be.
I hope so. I really.
It won't be if we're not allowed to sit next to each other.
One day you will be allowed to sit in your own area. That's how it should be.
Everyone with a megaphone just trying to connect up around the stands. Oh, I love it. And we're going to come to you again because I'm just conscious of the time. So the other one we're going to talk about, of course, Sheffield United won, Newcastle won. Sheffield nearly got it, didn't they?
They should have. They should have. They should have been out of sight. Very, very poor performance from Newcastle, considering what they're trying to do. Obviously, they want to go up. First time of asking, that's not going to happen now. That's just not going to happen. And I know they've made some signings during the week. Said if they gritted teeth last week, they signed Poppy Pritchard from Man City. Now, obviously, I know Poppy really well, and I was absolutely devastated to see that she'd gone there, even though she's a lifelong Newcastle fan and all that stuff. But I wanted her at Sunderland. But never mind. But they signed her, obviously. She made a debut from the bench. I think they signed someone from Chelsea, or was that Durham? They've definitely signed someone. No, they've signed someone on loan, haven't they, from Chelsea? But I can't remember who it is. Can't remember her name, but doesn't matter. Because Durham signed Amy Claypool, didn't they? Durham signed her. And Newcastle definitely signed someone on loan, but I'm sorry, I can't remember.
They've got Freya Gregory now permanently.
Yeah, another winger. So
human.
I mean, I don't know why they're trying to sign loads of wingers. They need a centre forward. They need someone else to play with Shania Ailes, to be honest. Charlotte Wardlaw, that's the one. Thank you. That's her. But yeah, I don't know why they're signing loads of wingers. I think they need a good, strong centre midfielder, and they need a striker. But anyway, sorry, I thought it was a really, really poor performance from them, and like I say, I just can't see them doing it now. I think one of the top four, probably London City would be the team that goes up, but I think it's one of the top 4 or 5 now. I think Newcastle just too many points behind, even though they've got a game in hand and everything like that. They've still got the good sides, say that the really, really good sides left to play. They've still got all the top 4 left to play now. So yeah, they needed to win that one, I think, and went behind with a slightly comical own goal. Claudia Moore completely missing the ball. So well done, Claude. Well done, Claude's always a red and white.
Still playing for Australia, that's what it is.
Yeah, that goes in the pattern there. But I did see a few things on social media, and again, knowing Claudia, she's not meant it, you know what I mean? It's just, it's one of them things, it happens. But obviously, the naysayers and the women's football doubt are saying, well, there's nothing in the men's game. Well, just watch Jack Chesney last night for Barcelona, one of the best teams in the world, and it's just as bad. So there you go. But these things happen. Goalkeepers make mistakes, but it goes in the back of the net. And you'd think Sheffield are going to go on it. And to be fair, in the second half, they had loads of good chances. Claudia's made a really good save from Maria Ferroja. Tipped it over the bar, really good effort. Newcastle have huffed and puffed and finally got one in the last minute, with Rachel finesse. Nice little loop-in header, but I think Sheffield should be claiming that. I think it's a good header, but they've got a player on the line, but then another player gets a crosser and completely misses it and it ends up going in. But fair play to Fernie, because I think that's her first goal for Newcastle, and it's great to see Fernie scoring goals, even though it's for them. But I love Rachel fairness, you know what I mean? So good to see her score, because she has been injured. So fair play to her. But you've got to be looking at that, being a Newcastle fan. That's massive 2 points drop. They've got Portsmouth on Sunday at home. They've got them in that game. Otherwise, it's curtains if they want to go up. But yeah, you mentioned Freya Gregory. I mean, what's your thoughts about that? Because we love Freya Gregory on this podcast, don't we? But we can't like her anymore. It's just a shame.
So I've got a shed all allegiance, and it's so annoying though, because Villa as a club, so many youngsters have come through the academy. I was saying this to a girl I tutor, actually plays for Arsenal youth team. She was like, "Oh, I've got Villa in the Youth Cup on the weekend," so we're chatting about that. We're talking about how many youngsters have let go. Laura Blinkilder-Brown went to City. We've got Rabjohns left, Izzy Goodwin left, and you just think all of these youngsters, including Freya Gregory, who, when she had minutes, she is so physical on the ball, she's phenomenal, really quick, and you just think that's someone that, given the right minutes, and she was at Southampton, her goodbye message to Southampton when she got recalled was as if, she was at that club and that was, her family and that kind of thing. And I just really wish Villa could have like held on to her and developed her and actually played her as part of the team. But yeah, the fact she's got in the mags.
It is disappointing, but it's disappointing like from like a northeast perspective as well. And I know Sunderland have bought a lot of like, you know, this season and last season they bought like, you know, some players who aren't from the north, because there's only so much of a talent pool the northeast can produce. But like when Newcastle went professional, it was all this kind of, if you're a young player and you know you're a local young player,
you can play for Newcastle.
You know, this is going to be the home for you, and you know, actual players for Newcastle saying that, forgetting that Durham were already professional long before Newcastle, and that Sunderland had been, you know, the number one side for, you know, young England players to come to, which, you know, as you know, the likes of Beth Mead and, you know, Lucy Bronze and, you know, the list goes on, who Sunderland have produced, but never mind. The fact that they're now buying, you know, we'll take Poppy Pritchard out of the equation because she is from Newcastle, but she's not like she's not a Newcastle Academy product. She's a Sunderland Academy product who went to Durham, did really well at Durham, went to Man City, and needs game time, you know. But then like the signing players, even from like last year, the signing, you know, like Shania Hills, this, that, and the other. Yes, they're good footballers, but I thought you were meant to be developing your youth. And if they haven't got very good depth, if their dev team isn't the greatest and you haven't got players ready to step up, there's only so much you can do bringing in these, because it'll end up like, if you're not in the WSL, who's going to want to come? The fact that they're going to be, you know, I nearly said a horrible word, the fact they're going to be, you know, splurting a lot of money out, maybe is the thing, you know, because the fact that they signed Claudia from Sunderland is a money situation, you know what I mean? But there's only so much that can do. You can't go on forever doing that. And, you know, for me, they're going to have to make a decision where, are you going to be wanting to develop youth players, or are you going to be splashing the cash out for players like Freya Gregory? But I don't know. I mean, it was really confusing how they signed Poppy Pritchard one day, who was a left winger, and then signed Freya Gregory, who is predominantly a winger but plays on the left. It doesn't make sense. So why sign Poppy Pritchard?
They're just going to have the team just all on the left-hand side of the pitch.
Yeah. And remember when we went to the Derby game, and I can't, again, a name escapes us, but the girl who scored the 2 goals was the left winger. So where is she now? You know what I mean? So
it's all on top of each other. That's what it is.
So they're all going to play on top of each other now, you know, and instead of, like I say, instead of maybe addressing the issues of where they are falling short this year, which is they haven't got apart from Hills, they haven't got a proper goal scorer, and they haven't got a dominant midfielder. Alicia Body is a really good player, but she's not a dominant midfielder. They need someone in next to her. Yeah. Where, you know, who are you signing? You're just trying to sign. I think they're just trying to sign everybody who becomes available, but they all apparently be attacking wingers. So it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think
all the local players go to Middlesbrough. So,
I think they'll throw money at Tash Fenton during the summer.
You what, Terry?
I think they'll throw money at Tash Fenton.
Tash has got another year though, so we'll be all right. It's the likes of Katie Kitchen or Jenna D I'll be worried about because they're out of contract at the end of the season. But Tash has got another year on, so I think she should be all right. But we'll see. Money talks, doesn't it? But
speaking of money talking, another transfer story. Sorry, Adam, are you braced for this? Chelsea have been linked with someone else.
Oh, go on.
Trinity Rodman.
Trinity Rodman. Chelsea.
Trinity Rodman.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Sure. Right. Yeah.
Why would they really?
They got Ramirez. They got Ramirez and Sam Kerr when she's fit coming back. I mean, where?
Tom Bogut, who is who works for CBS Sports, on Blue Sky. His tweet is USWNT superstar Trinity Rodman is in the final year of her contract with the Washington Spirit, and I'm told Chelsea are among the many clubs monitoring the situation.
Oh, yeah, but I would also say many clubs. You could say Man City are monitoring and Arsenal are monitoring. So that is one club.
Hey, Sunderland could be monitoring as well.
Villa could be monitoring.
Newcastle.
Rugby Borough could be monitoring. Who knows who could be monitoring? But any club could be monitoring.
Chelsea and Arsenal are the ones linked. But given Arsenal's recent history of taking on other clubs in the WSL for
what we do, right, we should say with Arsenal, we've got a really good transfer strategy, right? We don't spend money. We pretend we do because then we can get them for free the next window. So that's the Arsenal way. You don't spend money, you bluff it and then get them for free. So that's you buy allegiance, not the actual player. So that's what we'll do. We'll just say, we'll spend 10 trillion on Rodman, but we won't sign her. We'll just wait and then we'll get her in the summer. That's the Arsenal way. That's the Claire Wheatley way.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And it has finished. Tottenham 1, West Ham 2. West Ham have done it.
So that's Chelsea. That's a Chelsea West Ham semi-final and an Arsenal Manchester City semi-final. So basically, it's 2023 all over again.
Well, of course, we can't have anyone new in the quarter.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
So it's good. So there's no danger of a new team winning the County Cup then.
Well, not unless West Ham United pull an absolute rabbit out of a hat against Chelsea.
I want them to.
Is it just like the same 3 of 4 that's been in the last 9 years? Something.
It's always been Arsenal, Manchester City, or Chelsea. Although Chelsea have only won it twice.
Yeah.
And that was against Arsenal and Bristol City. So Bristol City were the last non-Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City team to get to a final, and they were relegated the same season.
Oh, could you imagine? Right, West Ham to win it. Stuff it. Sorry.
Yeah, we're all West Ham fans, aren't we now?
Well, it's been a pleasure being on the podcast with everyone. You can find me at
We love you, Rita. So just a quick one then. Sunderland are in 4th place on 20 points. Look at the top of that table. And you just think
difference.
Yeah.
It's like, right, look how, like, obviously, you know, when we have been beat this season, we have been beat badly. You know, like that Birmingham game, getting off Southampton still. Like, we had a minus 9 quarters before we started the season anyway. So,
that's the fact that like I said earlier. Yeah, that opening day defeat, you just thought, oh God, what's the rest of the season going to be like?
But even the second game of the season, we lost 3-0. So you're like a -8 deficit already. Sunderland have never been known to, you know, beat teams by a lot of goals to nil. So apart from Coventry in that fateful season.
Oh yeah, that was painful. Emily Scarr with a hat trick in 18 minutes or something.
Yeah, she did. Oh, that's right. Yeah, bless her. Fortunately, we didn't have the song for her then. She hadn't spotted the song yet. Bless her cotton socks. She was class at the weekend. Scarr. Such a lovely girl as well. Who's doing the Durham game, by the way? I saw the ball before I go.
Did Anne turn into a robot for anyone else, or was it just
Yeah. I told us this laptop. I was going to say who's doing the Durham game because we need to talk about our handball.
Yes.
Oh, the amazing diving save.
Let's do that. Paul, take it away. Durham 1, Charlton 2.
Well, it should have been Durham 2, Charlton 2. Durham. Sorry, Graham, but I am actually working. Sorry, Graham, but your team stole 3 points.
No, he says nothing controversial happened.
I mean, because, you know, there was a lovely floaty L, though.
Floaty lob, yeah.
Graham, very excited to point out to us. It was Katie Barton with a lovely little lob over the top, which I briefly wasn't sure was a floaty L because it bounced before landing in the net. But Danny will probably correct me, so we'll go with that one.
Yep.
And then Charlton going 2-0 up and pulling their way through. And to be fair, from what I've seen of the highlights, they were decent value for those 2 goals. Like it's not saying they didn't deserve those 2 goals and they'd stolen them, because they hadn't. However, and this is the bit where we talk about, Becky Salicki had pulled one back for Durham late in the game. Noted hotel owner Becky Salicki, and then I will channel my inner Adam here. So the corner comes in. Durham are pressing for a corner. It's headed up and headed away straight to Amy Claypole on loan from Chelsea, who was robbed of her first goal for Durham by what can only be described as an absolute flying save.
It's a hell of a save, though, isn't
it? It was. If Charlotte Newsham was a goalie, it would have been a highlight reel save. Unfortunately, Charlotte Newsham is a left back. And somehow this was not noticed by the official, despite the fact that there was a lovely slice of life clip as well. See, Lance is now pulling my earphone out. There was a lovely slice of life clip because it was posted by a Durham fan behind that goal, and the absolute scream of handball that you hear in a Wearside accent. But to be fair, you kind of watch it and you go, why wasn't this a penalty? And I was watching it. It's one of those clips where you're watching it and you're expecting maybe something and you go, oh, that could have been. Yeah, fair enough. Bit of a melee, it's gone. And you watch it and go, no, that's a full-on diving save. She's kicked that onto the post. There is no...
All right. Do you not think that the fact it was so good of a save, it kind of deserves not to have been seen by the referee? You know what I mean by that? Because it is an absolutely... I mean, anyone who's doubting the goalkeeping skills of women's football just need to watch that save, and that's coming from a left back.
Cara Keating should be taking notes.
I mean, all jokes aside, though, I mean, it's the worst, one of the worst things I've ever seen. I mean, second only to what happened to Sunderland men last night.
Oh yes, I've seen
the phantom goal, but like, I mean, what? I mean, it is it. I don't know if Graham was watching. I think it's before. I can't remember if it's before or after Saliki's goal. It might have been before because I know Claypole got subbed off. So it might have been beforehand. Then I think Charlton were 2-0 up, but it might have been before the second one I got in. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I probably am, but I'm sure.
I'm quite impressed of the control of Durham, of Lauren Briggs and Saliki, that they didn't just 2-foot the referee, because normally when they feel stuff like that, Durham's default response is to 2-foot somebody. And
I'm surprised she wasn't thrown in the river afterwards, considering it's very close to the ground. But
rolled down the hill.
But it was a phenomenal save. You know, it was just a shame it was a left back.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, again, like, you know, all jokes aside, because I mean, it couldn't have happened to a, you know, much nicer and, you know, well-respected team than Durham, but that's the second time this season they've been done in off Charlton by a really silly decision. I mean, it was an awful one, but went back to the Valley earlier on in the season there. Charlton got a penalty when Tatiana Saunders came out, wiped out her own player, and somehow the referee said that was a penalty to Charlton. So, yeah, it just goes to show as well, and, you know, all jokes aside, that the level of officiating in this league is horrendous. How I can understand the referee missing it, because obviously there's a lot of wall of players and anything like that, but how the assistant official, whose job it is to, you know, kind of watch these kind of incidents happen from a corner, how he's missed it is beyond us.
I mean, the only thing I can think is that from their angle, the ball didn't look to change direction, even though it changed about 30 degrees of direction.
Maybe the ref thought it hit the post. I mean, I think I've seen this clip. I think someone sent it in my WhatsApp group, and I can only assume large number of players. The balls move very quickly. The ref and I just haven't seen it. That's the only, and which seems bizarre, but that is it. Unfortunately, I would feel bad, but you know, it's not often you see a Dick Dastardly get away with it. So it's quite nice to see the villains win occasionally. And as someone who wants to see Charlton in the WSL for the heritage and the history, you know, I've got relatives who are Charlton fans. I can't be too anti on them.
The thing that fascinates me, and again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, it says something that there has been hardly any mention of it in the media. If that happens in a WSL game involving one of the big four teams, or one of the top four teams, which Durham were, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. It probably would be the same if it happened to, say, London City or Newcastle. You know what I mean? It's just because for all the intents and purposes, Durham are a little club. They call themselves Little Durham. You know what I mean? It is unfortunate, but it should have been shouted from the rooftops. Of course, it should have done, because it's just such a bad decision. But again, I will reiterate that maybe because it's that good of a save, I'm happy to let it fly. Like, if it happened against Sunderland, I'd be fuming. Don't get us wrong. But I would also then, on the other hand, on the funny side of it, well, hang on a minute, it is a tremendous save.
I would love to see that happen against certain WSL teams, specifically Man United.
Yeah, and now again, coming from a rival club, and obviously Sunderland Durham have quite a rivalry that seems to have stoked up a lot of ill feeling. I think in the last few times we've played Durham, especially from Sunderland perspective and a Durham perspective, when you have them, which I would ban anyway, but these stupid videos after you've won a game and they're coming and going, like that. But obviously, because Jenna D had said something about that we don't lose here to when we beat Durham this year, and then when Durham beat us in the Subway Cup, Dee Bradley started doing an impression of Jenna D as if Jenna D was
actually cared.
Like literally, like a.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't want to say the word, but like a not a very clever person. And that it just stokes up, really stupid rivalry. Well, it is a rivalry, but it just stokes up this ill feeling. Now, when we play Durham again, it's going to be the Stadium of Light, but there's going to be all sorts of shenanigans after the game if we or Durham get a victory. So I just
So if we see Jenna Day go through Dee Bradley in the first couple of minutes of that game, we know why.
Well, they both won't be on the pitch. They'll both be on the bench the way it's going. So I know Dee played tonight for Chelsea, but she seems to be a part-time player now for Durham. And Jenna this year for Sunderland was suspended on Sunday, so she couldn't play. But she hasn't been playing lately. She's been on the bench. So it might be that both of them might be fighting on the bench, which would be hilarious. Might be throwing little things at each other and stuff. So.
The camera just pans round, leaves the action, and just straight on the bench and just watches those two just probably go for it.
100%.
I should say on the topic of handballs, because I think Paul, you mentioned how outrageous handball decisions of the WSL. I'm on very shaky ground here because I was at Villa Park last season, say no more.
Just adopt the Emma Byrne, the Rachel Brown Finnish school of school of punditry for that one.
Leave that one in there. It was a very funny moment.
But it was from Blackstonius, and she's never offside either.
No, she's never offside, and she's never offside. She's chaotic, much like the podcast.
Exactly. In fact, we should get Stina on, friend of the pod.
Absolutely.
Stina kills.
Freya, just very quickly before I go, just because Tony Montana, I won't go Montana, whatever he calls himself, answered that what I feel about the Pompey draw. Very disappointed with it, but I thought Pompey were outstanding, so I'll just leave it at that. But if they kick on in the second half of the season, which they beat Blackburn in the cup, didn't they? So if they can kick on in the second half of the season, Sheffield United have got a big fight on the hands. That's all I'll say, because I thought Pompey were outstanding against us. Even though we were poor, they were just as good. And their fans, considering the travelled all the way up for a Sunday, Sunday 2 o'clock kickoff, their fans were brilliant. One of the best set of fans I've met, to be honest. Really, really good. So I really hope that Pompey stay up. There we are.
There we go. Perfect. And what a way to end it.
Yes, and on that bombshell, I shall leave. So thanks very much, everybody.
It's been lovely seeing you, mate.
No worries. See you soon. Take care. Thanks, Adam.
Take care, Ant.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Right then. So this has been Anslet. I'm not going to leave.
There we go. Did anyone see the little frown at the screen then?
Yeah, just wait.
It's when he doesn't realise he's still hasn't turned it off and just carries on as normal, and that's
Just
starts chatting away. Oh, but yeah, I mean, look at these points. I mean, Birmingham with 23, right? Even right down to Charlton, 18 points. That's not a lot at all. And it's just that massive jump. But yeah, if Portsmouth, because I'll talk about Portsmouth Birmingham in a sec, but they're starting to build up some really nice bits of football. They're just not, you can tell they're just not quite there yet. So yeah, it'd be such a shame for them to go down, but it's just hard seeing the world where they stay up.
They're going to run out of time, aren't they? That's the thing. By the time they're championship ready, they'll be back down the leagues, and another team will be in their place.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'll talk about that one now. Right. So this was Portsmouth 1, Birmingham City 3. Of course, as we've just seen, where Birmingham are, probably expect to win at this point, a good 3 points. However, Portsmouth did have some really good passages of play. And it was also the return of Lucy Quinn after her ankle injury. I think she's been out for 4 months now, I believe. And she came on, I think it was like the 90th minute to get a couple more minutes in. But really, really good to see her back. So Portsmouth actually looked like they could have done something a bit more with the game, which again, really promising. But as we said, is it too late? They had an early chance on goal. Long ball found Lucy Dent, who had a decent run, but the touch was just far too heavy. Lucy Thomas was alert to it in goal, collided with each other. It was quite funny, but managed to divert any danger. Didn't take long, of course, for Birmingham to open the scoring. Ava Baker, she's been very good this season. Took advantage of keeper Hannah Poulter's mistake. Bit like we saw with Kiara Keating, as we'll talk about later. Just at her feet for far too long, and Baker just takes it off her feet and finds the back of the net. Now, the rest of the first half went without incident, still going Birmingham's way. Ended 1-0 after that first half. Second half took till the 55th minute, and this time it was Ellie Mason adding her name to the score sheet. This was also a lovely floaty lob. Didn't bounce until it was in the goal pole, so I think that could be another contender for a lovely floaty L. And there was a deflection, and she kind of picked it up, turned it, and then lobbed it over the top. It was quite nice, if anyone has seen that one. Now, after that, Portsmouth realised, right, we can't get through the midfield. Resorted to long balls just over the top, one after the other, and had another chance. Their number 9, Emma Jones, but unfortunately, she had, again, a breakthrough on goal through the defence in loads of space, but her, Lucy Thomas, and Niamh Herron all ended up in a heap on the floor in the goal mouth. And again, ball was kicked clear. So two really good chances Portsmouth could have had there. Now, completely against the run of play, Portsmouth then produced some lovely footwork, got the ball over to Sophie Quirk, who was given far too much space. So I think one criticism there was Birmingham defence was quite gappy at that point. But really impressively, curled a shot into the top right-hand corner to make it, it was 2-1 at this point. Birmingham, though, not to be defeated, 20 seconds later on the counter, got their third, thanks to some lovely footwork by Cho Sun-yun. And Quirk almost got herself a second for Portsmouth in the dying minutes, but just went too high over the crossbar. Overall, Portsmouth again looking much better. But unfortunately, it was a 3-1 defeat for them. Birmingham getting another good 3 points. And again, we'll just look at that table. But yeah, Portsmouth a -26 goal difference. Minus 26. And I've just seen what Graham's put in the chat there. Yeah, Portsmouth season, we've talked about it before, haven't we? Ending that week early because of the uneven number of games could be a huge deciding factor in what happens. But yeah, as we thought, Birmingham did win that one. Right then. Got a couple of games left before we head to the WSL. Paul, actually, no, we've only got one more, haven't we? Because Paul, we've talked about Durham and Charlton. Adam, will come to you for this one then. So,
well, you give me the big finish, haven't you? You've given me the
leading up to it.
Oh dear, the hype. How can I live up to the hype? I'm like London City Lionesses. So, Bristol City 0, London City Lionesses 1. Top of the table, no, like a professional almost. Top of the table clash, as you know, and London City Lionesses were the ones that triumph. I watched this one back on the highlights. A very well, the scoreline suggests it, but on the pitch as well, very even, very bitty, not much fluency, scrappy chances. Did open up a bit in the second half. Quite a few moments. I was quite impressed by Lexi Lloyd-Smith. Had a really good chance. The keeper made a really good save at the near post. Bristol City was Ashton Gate, which is Bristol City's ground. But there was it's on 62 minutes is the sole goal, which comes from I think it was Megan Campbell. But Bristol City commit the big football sin. It's like you don't do. If you are defending a corner, you do not make a defensive substitution. You don't do it. You don't. And watching it, and it's like, and they bring the sub on, and what happens. It's poorly defended. Cross comes in. I believe it's Mustaki who misses the header. You've got I think it's O'Hill, I think it's number 23. Draws all defenders in. They all leap the ball, miss it. She gets a flick on, and Megan Campbell beats the defender. Has the space, the time to take on the chest and knock it in the net. It's awful defending, and the championship is so competitive. These games are so tight and the margins so tight that you have to be on it in every game, because there's only one golden ticket to get you into the WSL. One mistake like that, I think at the time, it was they were both from level pegging, I think, or LCL were behind by a point. So that's if Bristol City had won this, they'd be level with Birmingham City. As it is, they've now gone down to third, and LCL have now gone up to second. That's the margins of the game. Now, Bristol City did have chances. I think Lloyd Smith had won a shot wide. Emily, is it Emily Syme or Sim? Hit the post late on, but that was really the gist of it. Unfortunately, it's a massive missed opportunity for Bristol City, because they'll be looking for a quick return back to the WSL after what happened last season. LCL though, London City Lionesses, with the money, the funding, the independent vehicle funded by Michelle Kang, is this the way forward? Is this going to be the one? Because I think they are the Fulham of their time, and I'm really winding the clock back here for those listening who don't know. Fulham were the first professional team in Europe, women's professional team in Europe. They went big, they invested big, they brought in a lot of high-class talent from the upper leagues right down to the bottom of the pyramid. You think now what LC have done with the likes of, I think, Sophia Jakobsen, and I want to say Aslani, I believe they brought in as well.
Aslani, yes,
yeah. I know my stuff. I've done my research. I can bluff this, honest. So Fulham have it in the past invested deep, and they went big, and they rose up the table, got to the top of the tree, went unbeaten, won the league, did the treble, did the lot, but then the whole thing expired, and Fulham went straight back down again. And with London City Lionesses, they're looking to do the same. They're looking to start at the bottom, looking to work their way up. They are throwing serious money into it, and I suppose it should be commended that there is genuine desire to invest and not just go straight for the top and say, no, we're going to build something from the below and build it up. And I think it's an exciting prospect. Whether this will happen with other clubs, will a big money owner come in for Durham, little old Durham, raise them up, or other leagues, Sheffield United, Pompey. Maybe clubs will break away from it. I think it was. I remember we had Gillingham in the FA Cup a few years ago, and they've now become. I think it's Chatham Town FC. They've gone independent. So who knows? Well, London City Lionesses, though, this is a big season for them because they have invested big in the players. They bought players low down. They need to get up in the WSL because I don't think the likes of Aslani and Sophia Jakobsen are going to be happy playing Championship football for 3 seasons. They've gone for this bet because they want to be in the WSL, and it's the gamble. And I wonder now, as the stakes get higher, how many more clubs are going to gamble and how many more clubs are going to try and draw in that international caliber talent, strong talent into the lower tier and hope it can. And I think that there could be this. We could be seeing the next evolution of the Championship, which could be quite exciting.
Oh, I love that. And again, it's very Michelle Kang, isn't it? It's high risk, high reward. Is it going to happen? Is it going to pay off? Because at this point, again, we've had it up loads, but we'll do it again. But they're second, 1 point behind leaders Birmingham City. I mean, it could be done. And then it comes back down to, we've talked about it a lot, is it the right way to do it? Is it the whole, we've said about Newcastle before being, where's the local talent? Where's, your youth coming through? Where's the academy? And to a club who relatively, they've just started building a fan base. They've just, got their new stadium, haven't they, this year? And like they've really started compared to other clubs who've got like a history and a legacy. It would feel a bit bizarre and a bit strange for them to suddenly be a WSL team and be this, power because of all these names that they're bringing in because of the money. Now, we've had a few comments. Michelle Kang FC is what we're going to call it, because the last thing we're going to talk about before we talk about the WSL, got a bit more news, haven't we? Coming out of London City.
Nice segue.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. It's almost as if I've planned it. Almost as if I have notes. Now, Paul's cracking his knuckles. He's getting ready. He's getting ready for this because some of you might be aware. It's been all over social media, just on a few channels, that there were some rumours that Ruesha Littlejohn had her contract terminated by London City to apparently make way for younger players. Now, it was official, and even on the kickback, which she does with her sister Shaban, they both said, we can't say anything. Things are happening, but we just can't say anything, so we're not going to. Now, I can't wait until that's lifted and they can tell us all of the details. However, it was announced that it has been a mutual agreement has been reached between Ruesha and the club. However, Ruesha has been silent, whether that's through an NDA or whether it's because, she's thought better of it. Only time will tell. However, her Irish team, I was going to say companions.
Teammates.
Teammates, that's the one. I don't know where I was going with that thought. But yeah, her teammates, especially Denise O'Sullivan and Grace Maloney, have all come out essentially hinting at the fact that she needs to find a club that's going to value her and treat her better. So there's definitely something going on behind the scenes. So we've talked before about Michelle Kang being this phenomenal businesswoman and putting so much money into the game. But ultimately, women's football is a completely different brand to the men's. It is a completely different game, and the fan bases are different. And just it feels like, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but like the values are a bit different in the way we see things. So, Paul, in this sense, Michelle Kang, if this has happened and it wasn't mutual, it's a very cutthroat business decision to do it. Is it what's that impact going to be on the game if we see more ruthlessness? Because the men's game is quite brutal, isn't it? But we don't quite see that enough in the women's.
First of all, I think this is about as mutual as Czechoslovakia as the Sudetenland joining Germany.
Oh, nice history reference.
Wow,
there's a history reference.
As a A-level historian who's done the rise of Germany in that area, I get you the Munich Agreement and all that. Yep.
Michelle Kang is going to appear on telly with a piece of white paper going, I have here in my hand.
Yeah. Peace in our time.
Peace in Ruesha's time. No, I don't think Michelle Kang realises what she's done. Genuinely. No. Because Ruesha Littlejohn, and I talked about this a bit, Ruesha Littlejohn is a cult heroine. Like in women's football, she is I wouldn't say she's untouchable, but she has built herself a platform and a brand which has made her more than just Ruesha Littlejohn, Irish international football player. And it's almost as if that now, as she's coming towards the latter stages of her career, has become secondary. Like she's in a weird place where she's still a footballer, and she's still a very good footballer.
I was going to say, sometimes people forget, don't they, just how good she actually is.
Let's not forget she's an Irish international who has played many, many times for her country, has done a huge amount of work for the women's game in the Republic of Ireland, and has also leveraged that and her personality and some occasionally dramatic moments, shall we say, in her career. To the point where she has a very large, very loyal fan base, a lot of whom, if my Twitter likes about the subject are to go by, are girls of a certain age who all like Phoebe Bridgers. Now, that's...
Wow. Okay.
And
okay.
So
what a way
she has, and because of that, and possibly as a representative of that community of people as well. She has inspired a lot of loyalty and a lot of strong feelings about support, to the point where she is probably the player who I pick as the poster child, if you like, of the thing that happens in women's football far more than men's, where people are fans of players rather than clubs, and will follow those players around clubs. And, you know, I haven't got any stats, but it is very obvious that her joining London City has done a huge amount for London City's fan base and social media following. And Rusha talking about them on the kickback and talking about them is going to pull people in to a club which has no history. It has no established tradition of families supporting. You know, there aren't households in London going, oh yeah, we're a London City Lionesses household, we support the, you know, in the same way that there are Arsenal households, there are Chelsea households, there are, you know, I am a Coventry City fan, at least partly, because I grew up in a household that supported them.
Yeah.
And it was like, right, the first, and you know, you go, and the key thing they say is the first team you go to watch, the first live football game you go to watch. You know, Bobby Robson talked about it. You know, that first sight of going up the steps onto the pitch, or that sort of thing. London City don't have that because, firstly, no bugger went to Prince's Park and went, wow, this is amazing. And secondly, there's just no, you know, they were formed in 2019. There's nothing there. So Rusha was London City to a lot of people. And you only have to look at the Instagram comments on the announcing of her signing, even leaving aside her teammates, of the number of people who are like, fine, we just won't support London City. We came to London City because Rusha was a London City player.
Yeah, loads of people in the comments were like, unfollowed, can't believe you've done this. She deserves so much better. And it's just, the backlash. I don't know if, again, the higher ups, again, if it's true, again, we can only assume, it hasn't been handled the best.
I mean, football is a ruthless business, and we're always talking about how we want women's football to be more ruthless. And we've spoken before about how there is perhaps too much focus and too much concern with players' off-field lives. And Adam, was an Arsenal fan, you'll be more than aware.
I'm not going to comment. I prefer to keep my comments on things on the pitch.
Indeed. I wasn't asking you to comment on it. I was merely saying that.
I know what you infer of.
If you look at Arsenal Twitter, there is a lot of discussion and a lot of focus.
There's a lot of discourse.
And there's a lot of discourse about it.
Yeah.
Possibly more so than the players' actions on the pitch. And Rusha Littlejohn inspires that level of support, and is, you know, on the pure face of it, letting a player go who is nearer the end of her career than the beginning, and has been injured, may have seemed like a cold-headed business decision, and it is, and that's what Michelle Kang does. However, it's going to backfire. It's, you know, put it this way, if I was an owner of a football club and I was looking for a player to annoy, a player who was a cult heroine among the women's football fan base with her own nationally broadcast podcast and sister as a prominent women's football media person, probably not the person I'd piss off. No.
And with Tony talking about the crazy Australian woman on TikTok with the whiteboard who wears Rusha's City Journey. That is at Gay News with Brooke. We do all follow her, you are right. Who talks about all of the drama and all the conspiracy theories. But yeah, the fact that people in Australia are fans of Rusha Littlejohn, like other side of the world, and you just think, this is someone who, if you played it, if we're being realistic, judging from all the evidence, probably a big clash of personalities. Probably they didn't want maybe as much of that kind of attention on the club, possibly. What you could have done, because Rusha is 34, I believe. So even transition her to being a player coach, if that's what she wanted to do, or transition her as being more of a club captain, or, working in different ways, working within the club, but, changing her role slightly if you maybe didn't want her as part of the squad, so there are definitely other ways in which this could have been done, but it just seems very, very strange how it's all come out. Adam, did you have any thoughts?
A few. Again, my focus is usually on the pitch, so that's my attention. And I think what defines if this decision right or is not right, it will be the table at the end of the season, because we should be clear. Sentimentality does not win you titles, and I know I'm an Arsenal fan. We are very sentimental. That means that doesn't affect your goal difference, doesn't affect your points. So if Michelle's saying it's great, we've got all these fans that or support Rusha, they're not London City Lionesses fans, they're Rusha fans. Well, you want your club to be you want the fans to support your club. And I look at us last summer, we were in the new year now, we moved on Vivian Miedema, which was which caused outrage, and fans said, "Fine, we're not going to support Arsenal. We'll follow Miedema to Manchester City." We love. I came to Arsenal because I was because I supported Vivian Miedema. I'm in Vivian Miedema, not me, but people who have that opinion. Yeah. And it's like, okay, fine, but there are some people who found Arsenal as a Miedema fan, and then found their home at Arsenal, and then say, okay, Miedema's gone, but I will stay. There are people who maybe were Rusha fans, found London City Lionesses through Rusha, and realised, actually, I quite like this club. Rusha, because players don't stay forever. As much as we love the idea of a one-player club who will stay, I want Russo to stay at Arsenal forever. She won't. She will move, just as every other player does. Mm. And so yes, that whole sentimentality thing. Now, agree. There is an element of, I think there is Paul spot on with Rusha, whereas her cult status and what she is beyond football in terms of broadcasting, as terms of personality, has exceeded her as a footballer, which happens, and it helps that she's obviously the work she does with Shaban. Michelle's obviously looked at the spreadsheet, she's looked at the team and thought, are we a better team? Are we more likely to get into, not just get into the WSL, but in a better position to stay in the WSL, because as other teams have shown, Bristol City last season, and you could argue maybe Crystal Palace there in the bottom at the moment, are we going to be in a better position to get promoted and secure with or without Rusha in the team? Are having thousands of followers on TikTok and YouTube and people wearing Rusha shirts going to keep us in the WSL, going to get us in the WSL? Yeah. Or are we better off getting somebody else in? That's the decision you've got to make. Now, obviously, there'll be outrage. There'll be people who will be fine and leave, and that's fine. I would say with London City Lionesses, they do have history, because in the former life, they were Millwall Lionesses, and then obviously there was the whole thing where they broke apart and went independent. So there may well be people who were Millwall fans who decided to follow. Yeah. But I think at the moment, I think the big question is maybe how it was handled. I should say, shout out to Shaban with the funniest comment, saying that she's had more clubs than a certain a golfer's name who I forget, but if you get kind of club history, it's pretty impressive. She said, look at you go, you have more clubs than the golfer, but we'll see what happens. I think there's a few more. I think she's got another club in her, and we should say Rusha is an Arsenal legend, because she scored a hat-trick against Spurs in one of her 2 games or 3 games she played for us, and then she went on to do something else. So she has that history of Arsenal in a London County Cup tie. So yeah, wish her all the best. Obviously sad it's ended this particular way, and it's not nice. Yeah. But Michelle obviously thinks that the best way forward for the club is without her at the club, and the only way we'll find out is at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's the thing from a business perspective. She hasn't got as successful as she is by making easy decisions, has she? And as in the chat, just as a different, and I will those people. I'm not talking of you. Bruce in the chat, see what the big deal is. Was a good business decision for the club, but not for Rusha. And that is the difference, especially when you're so attached to a player. It's hard to then maybe cut off sometimes to see the other side. Yeah, Paul, what were we going to say?
I disagree with it. I think it was a beautifully made argument from Adam, and I agree with large parts of it, but I disagree with it because I think you are coming at that argument as a fan of a club that is bigger than its players, which it is.
Yeah.
You know, whatever women's Twitter might say, and I was incredibly critical of them letting Viv Miedema go. I am slowly being proved wrong, admittedly, by Mariana Caldente playing extremely well. She came on at 0-0, for example, against Brighton, and they went 4-0. So, but I think if you look at it from the perspective of a club like London City, if Russia wanted to, she could torpedo that club.
I know what you mean, but because her personality and her cult status is bigger than the club, because London City Lionesses are in the Genesis stage.
Like you say, women's football is not men's football. Women's football does have that sentimentality in it, and you know, if she comes out, let's say she goes to the Athletic and does a tell-all exclusive interview, which I have no doubt her phone's ringing off the hook at the moment, and the sports lawyers are telling her what she can and can't do and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, take a picture, yeah.
But you know, let's say she goes to the Athletic and she says, right, here is the story of why I left London City, and it turns out that it was bad acting by London City. That brand is destroyed. Like literally, London City as a brand are destroyed, and it doesn't matter if they go up to the WSL. Nobody will watch them because they have no fan base, and most of their fan base will go, well, we'll go and watch Arsenal, or we'll go and watch Chelsea, or we'll go and watch Crystal Palace.
I think you would always get the core group, and I would always say, I don't like. This is my personal opinion. I get that there are women who are bigger than football clubs because of what they are. I don't like that power imbalance personally. For me, I feel the club should always. If a player is too big for the club, then really the player should move to a club which is big enough for them. If that makes sense, you can be too big for the room that you're in, and you may think, and I think sometimes we had that with some players who have departed Arsenal, who are such cult status that maybe they've gone beyond the club itself. For me, I prefer the club to be the bigger entity, and I think with London City Lionesses and Russia, it was absolutely the power balance was completely the other way around. I think we can agree on that.
I think it's interesting you say that as an Arsenal fan, given there are arguably several players at Arsenal who are in.
And I don't like that. But that's just my opinion. My love is for the club first, and the players that play for my club. And I know I am not, as you said, there are fans who are fans of players, which is absolutely brilliant. But that's not my way into Arsenal. Like I said, I'm almost back to front on that sense. So that's where I see my priority first.
Let's say Leah Williamson left Arsenal.
Yeah, it'd be gutting, but she'd leave.
It would be gutting. But I think if she were to then come out and hypothetically do a tell-all of being badly treated by Arsenal, that would set Arsenal back as a brand.
It would.
And that's the power she has.
It would certainly throw a hand grenade into the fan base, but I would also say that the Arsenal as an institution, given its history with the men's and with the women's, would recover from it. I think it's actually Arsenal probably one of the few clubs who would survive a massive tell-all conspiracy. I don't think there is anything to suggest it, because I think that they are a pretty well-run club. I think we could think of certain clubs maybe in Manchester who may have more to say on such a thing, which we may get to later. But I say as double Arsenal, if there was a big sort of, I think they would be able to ride out. And if we should say I remember there was a piece during lockdown, I think, where some players were actually unhappy with the way things were run at the club, and they made some changes, and it was all fine. But I think there are definitely other clubs, and I think probably Lions United is one of the ones where it would do severe damage. I would say maybe some other clubs in the WSL. No, I'm not going to say Aston Villa. I'm not going to do that. That'd be rude.
That's a different podcast. That's tomorrow night. This is on a Thursday. Come and join us.
The thing that will be interesting now is if anybody is aware that she has that power, it will be Russia. And I wonder if Michelle Kang is. I think she's made a mistake here, and I think she's, even as someone who's worked in women's football, this was her way into European women's football. And she's come in, thrown money at London City, probably expected signing Aslani and Jakobsen will walk the championship.
Not really realizing how hard it is.
It's very hard. It's very hard to get out of. What I would add though is if Rush does a tell-all, that's also kind of burning her own bridges, because what kind of club would employ her if they know that she, after that, would you as a club sign up somebody who is, would do something like that if things went south? So there is an element of, you've got to be to protect your own interests as well, and that's another dynamic to think about. So I think
if Rusha was 25 years old, I think that would come into play. But I think
if she chose to
is the
retire
type
now,
of person who will burn her bridge.
Yeah. If she chose to retire now and do a tell-all, I wouldn't blame her. I could see that. But I think she probably wants one more club, so we'll see.
And she's got it in her. She's got it in her one more club. And I think it's down to do like with manager as well. Like if you're clashing personalities with managers, and Rusha has been very outspoken about how that's happened in the past, you need people like an Emma Hayes, like a Carla Ward, like someone who you can still have that bit of banter, but you know where that line is, and there's that mutual respect and that kind of thing. And maybe Carla Ward getting the Ireland job, maybe that's kind of Rusha's last kind of hurrah, as we will, because I think that partnership will work really, really well. But yeah, we shall see. We'll keep you updated with all of the latest. But yeah, that was last night. And I do have to say, it was the most formal post London City have ever posted. So it was definitely very scripted and very do not off beast. Keep it very formal and very to the point. Now, just a quick one on the fixtures this weekend then. So we've got Blackburn versus Sunderland. As we said, Blackburn moved the game to a Saturday, so it's on the same day as Sunderland men's, which, again, a clash when you support all of your club, not just the women or the men's. Durham versus Southampton. Again, that'll be a good one. Durham, again, need that win if they're going to stay up there. Newcastle versus Portsmouth. Again, should be a Newcastle win, but as we saw at the weekend, who knows? Maybe Portsmouth. Imagine if Portsmouth won, or they got a point. Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it, against Newcastle?
Just need a win and 16 or so goals, and they'll be on their way.
Easy peasy. Why not?
17 goals.
Graham's favourite Charlton versus Sheffield United. Again, should be 3 points there. And Birmingham City versus Bristol City. Oh, that's going to be a good one. So do tune in this weekend to the Championship if you don't already.
Just quickly, pardon my ignorance, because I'm following the WSL more and going to the games. I don't get to follow Championship as much. When do London City Lionesses and Birmingham City next play? Do we know? Because that I reckon is going to.
Season.
Is it last day? Oh, right. Okay. Wow.
I love that you knew that, Paul.
At St Andrews.
Yeah.
Last day of the season.
At St Andrews.
Because it was one on the fixture list that I may have ringed in triplicate and highlighted with glittery stars and all sorts of whatever.
That is the one. That's the game. That will be. There's been a few WSL season enders. I mean, the one I think of is Arsenal Everton 2009. I want to say, I think it was, who went to the final day at Everton, and it was Arsenal versus Everton for the title at Everton's ground, and Everton had a 3-point lead, and Arsenal pipped them at the end. That's the sort of drama we could get in the Championship. So fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, because last season it was right. That was deadline day as well. That was right at the end, and you just think this is the drama we want. This is the chaos. This is everything that we need. In the WSL, it's you've always got the same people up at the top, and it's a more interesting relegation battle.
in the WSL this season, it's will Chelsea have the title sewn up by March, or will they have to wait till early April?
Well, I think it's going to be the first time in a while that Chelsea will not be taken to the final day by another team. I mean, it's the first time for a while that the league was won a goal difference last season. That hasn't happened, I want to say, since 2014, probably, when we had 3 teams in on it. So, yeah.
I mean, I think that, and we can talk about it when we go, but I think if Chelsea beat Arsenal, they have one.
Oh, that is the. Right, I think Chelsea, Arsenal, I think Man City, well, we'll see. But I think at the very least, we'll get to it. But if Chelsea beat us at the weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised because they are very good and they've done very well this season, I certainly think that blows us out the water. and then it's just on to Europe. But it's nice when these leagues are very straightforward. It's like Spain, isn't it? It's like the Liga F. You just okay, fine.
Yeah, Barcelona have won. Let's look at everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to fight it out for second, third, and fourth? Yeah, absolutely. Because, like you said, it's Champions League places up for grabs as well in those final spots. So let's have a little look, see, shall we? So, where should we go first? We'll get the boring one out of the way. Paul, we'll come to you first. For Spurs 1, Leicester 0. Just a bit.
I mean, you say boring. There were narratives around this one, and I'm annoyed that I can't do that voice because I was just going to go narratives in full on, movie input voice.
What in a world?
In a world where one goal is looking for redemption.
In a world, narratives define the football games in the WSL.
Oh, Adam, we're going to keep you.
Rejected by her former club with a chance for revenge.
This Sunday, Spurs against Leicester.
Yes.
Flip that bit. Job done. Do that. Right. Okay. Get ready. Do that.
Yeah.
Do that for Chelsea versus Arsenal.
Oh,
We'll
it's Sunday, isn't it? This Sunday at 12:30, Arsenal go back to Stamford Bridge, wanting revenge for their loss at Emirates Stadium. Will Rene stop the Bombastomobile? Find out soon.
Yes. Adam.
We're going to be out of a job soon. We need that one every week.
Oh yeah, we'll retire now. Yeah.
But yes, the narratives in question were obviously Spurs signing Lisa Kopp from
Yes.
Leicester.
There we go.
A couple of days before. Lisa Kopp started that game for Spurs. And Janina Leitzi, obviously the goalie who was chosen ahead of Lisa Kopp and Leicester thought was better off with, scored an own goal within 2 minutes.
I have seen the goal and it's very funny. But what's weird is the BBC website puts it as Howard is the own goal. There's a glitch in the system, so he's not even credited properly. It's very weird. But yeah, it's a very poor own goal.
It's the kind of thing that you watch and just go, how has she managed that? The only thing I can compare it to, and I'm going to go right deep into the football meme bank for this one.
Oh.
There's that famous fan commentary of a Rangers game from like 15 years ago, where the Rangers goalie makes a spectacular error, and all you hear is in the biggest Glaswegian accent, "What's the keeper doing, Tom?" Just absolute panic. But apart from that, honestly, you're right.
Nothing.
It was a game. It was decided by a goal.
Players went on the pitch.
Was it a live game? Was it the BBC game that weekend?
It was, and the best thing you can say is, I just hope both teams had fun. Like,
I will say though, Missy Goodwin needs more praise. She was probably the only person on that team really who ran and gave a damn at the weekend, I think.
I mean, Leicester, I worry for Leicester, genuinely. Like,
if Palace stay up, I think. Well, we'll talk about Palace later. But if Palace stay up, I reckon it'll be at the expense of Leicester City. And to be fair, when you flirt around relegation for long enough, the jaws of inevitability do swallow you up from underneath.
He's poetic, isn't he? It's just
so good.
The jaws of inevitability, the darkness. And he comes on to talk about Arsenal. We end up meditating about existence. The darkness will take us all.
It's a philosophical podcast.
It's the absolute philosophy podcast. It's
the absolute nihilism podcast. It's like you don't get this stuff on Counter Press, do you, folks? That was a bit much. Sorry.
Maybe. There are some lines that should not be crossed. And in case of Spurs case, they can't seem to cross the line. That seems to be their problem.
That's the trouble. Like,
get Leicester to do it for them.
Yeah.
Spurs just
they're very bland, aren't they? They're very. I mean, we saw that the weekend tonight they went 1 goal, lost, went 1 up, went 2-1 behind. There's nothing exciting. When I went to the derby last year, the one at the Spurs ground, and obviously went a bit bad for us the previous season, so we wanted a bit of revenge, and it was so easy. Like we got settled in, and then suddenly we were 1-0 up after about, I think it was 2 minutes. And it was the most stress-free derby I've ever experienced. It was like, oh. Like,
very welcoming. Yeah.
It was very nice because the big fanfare, they played the music, they had the fans, and then just nothing. And we just played through it, and we won 3-0. It was incredibly routine, and I was like, oh, that was so anticlimactic.
There was a comment a little bit further up, actually. They were talking about rivalries because in classic.
Oh yes, I did see that.
Oh, okay.
And the comment, I believe it was Tony. I apologise if it's not. It might have been Matt, but they were talking about rivalries, and someone said the North London derby in the women's game is incredibly forced anyway.
Well,
the only actual London rivalry is Chelsea versus Arsenal. It's
a fair point because, yes, obviously the men's side, it's very fierce because it's based on the history of how Arsenal ended up being in London and Spurs really Middlesex and all that stuff, and accusations from like the 1910s, 1920s. You know, who would have thought that historical issues in the past would still be an issue today? Who could have seen that coming, especially in football? Whereas the women's game, for the women's game, it's not the case. The women's game, Arsenal and Spurs, they're just two teams. We want it to be the rivalry because we want rivalry in women's football, because rivalry and heated rivalry makes the games better and more intense, and especially from a fan perspective. But the big one is Arsenal-Chelsea. And the reason we hate them is A, because it's a derby, and B, because they currently sit on the seat that we'd rather like to have back. You know, they took that seat off us in 2015, quite frankly. Well, after Liverpool took it off us, and then they took it off Liverpool. We'd want it back. You know, we want to be the better team that we were in the 2000s. But of course, the game changes. You know, back in the 1990s, you had Donny Bells and Croydon. You know, it was some of the better teams along with Arsenal. So it's Chelsea's cycle at the moment, and we're bitter because we want that seat back. We want to be the WSL winners and the Champions League winners again, or the FA Cup winners. So that's the rivalry, and I think that's a good one. And those games, Arsenal-Chelsea, as we'll see this weekend, will be even better because of that intense rivalry, and it's at Stamford Bridge. I'd love it to be the same with Spurs. And I do think us losing the derby, and I remember that leaving that stadium, I told the fans after we lost 1-0, and it was just awful. We were never going to score in a month for some days. And I said, those players on that pitch will have to live the rest of their life knowing you were the first women's team to lose to Spurs. And we had a close call a few seasons ago. Viv got a late equaliser at the Barnett's ground, the Hive. But I said they now know that's history made. You have lost to Spurs. You're the first team to do it. You know, in the olden days we'd beat Spurs 10-0. Now we don't. And I really hope that this season, I thought, Spurs, because they've got that and they had a few quite good results. I always feel like they're going to kick on and they're going to become a bigger team and because I want, as much as I don't like Spurs, I'm an Arsenal fan. You want your rivals to be strong because it makes the derbies mean more. So when Arsenal play Spurs, and when we used to beat them 4-0 at Emirates Stadium or 5-1 at Meadow Park, it's okay, we beat them. But if you know there's a genuine jeopardy that you might lose to a rival, it means a lot more. And I thought, great, Spurs are coming up. They're going to be a threat. It's going to be great. You know, because in the men's team, yes, some ding dong battles when two going at it, and that's why I thought. This season, I think Spurs have been a bit of a disappointment, really. They haven't really kicked on from that FA Cup final. They're out the League Cup. They're down sort of mid-table way. And, we'll see. Not
very interesting, are they?
They keep yo-yoing because under Ray and Skinner, they had a good season, and then they came back again, and then they got Rob Villaheim in, had a good season, and then they've come back again. They just yo-yo between looking briefly good and then going back to being average. And it's just 11 players on the pitch. They might win a game. But there's nothing watching exciting. Like Brighton are exciting. They're mad, but they're exciting this season. Spurs are just sort of like.
There's nothing for the neutral. Like Spurs men under Postecoglou, you'll watch them because crazy shit will happen.
Oh, it's bonkers watching. You could beat Manchester City away 4-0 and then lose to Ipswich Town at home. They're like, it's bonkers. And as an Arsenal fan, but also as neutral, it's very funny to watch because you don't know what Ange you're going to get. You're going to get head down grumpy Ange or smiling Ange in the press conference afterwards, and drinking games. How many times you'll say mate in a press conference? And I know we've only gone into men's football. I don't know how that's happened, but yeah, Spurs. It's a lottery with Spurs. You know what you're going to get. Whereas with the women's team, with Ron Villahelm, you know what you're going to get. And it's just a bit bland. They're like the rich tea biscuit of women's football. It's just a bit. Yeah.
I'm a fan of rich teas, but no, it's very.
they're the nice biscuits because they are, but nobody knows quite why they're called nice because they're not.
Oh, those biscuits, yes.
Yeah. Are they Nice biscuits? Nice
yes.
biscuits?
Nice. Mm.
Yes. Yeah. No. Every team is a biscuit. That could be our new segment. There we go.
Oh, well, there we go.
So the comment was, finally found it. Tony said there to Matthew, one of the hills I'm willing to die on is that there's only one real London rivalry in the WSL, and it's Chelsea versus Arsenal. North London derby is forced. And again, because like you said, there's that real competition between Chelsea and Arsenal. They're both gunning for the win. They've both got the talent, and you just think, what could happen? Whereas the Spurs, unfortunately, they're just meh. In fact, Spurs are Spursy. Yes.
that tallies.
The best bit about that is everyone knows what that means.
Yeah.
Everyone knows exactly what that means.
It must burn to know that your team is sort of so synonymous that anybody say, oh, you're a bit like Newcastle. Bottlers as well is obviously the thing with Spurs as well. But like I always think with the whole thing, when a team like attacks low but is rubbish defensively, people just think Newcastle, Kevin Keegan, and you immediately know what kind of team they are. But just go, you're doing a Newcastle. They'll score 3, we'll score 4. But yeah, with Spurs, it's just like Spursy. It's just
Spursy. Yeah. And that's it. It's just
just no.
That's it. It happened.
It's one of those untranslatable words. But everybody knows
it's just football lexicon, isn't it? It's just like, they've Spursed it up. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's like the noises people make that don't actually mean anything, but it's the noise of what happens. Yeah, 100%. And Spursy. Right. Well, we'll leave Spursy behind. But again, they got the 3 points out of it. How, we don't know, but it happened. It happened. Adam, we're going to come to you for this one then. We're going to talk about Liverpool 2, Brighton 1. Oh, it was a bit touch and go, and there was a bit of drama, and Nikita Paris getting a lot of booze.
For 2 reasons. For those who don't know, Paris is an ex-Evertonian and an ex-Manchester United player, so she's got a foot in both enemy camps on that one. Very interesting game, this, and I find Liverpool a very fascinating club, but not for good reasons. Historically won 2 WSL titles in 2013 and 2014 because they knocked us off our perch. But since then, it sort of fell asleep as a club, sort of deteriorated, and then got relegated during lockdown, if people may remember. And I kind of thought that when they got promoted back and they brought Matt Beard in and they made some signings, I thought, this club is back and it's really going to try again. So this game, 2 on Brighton, I think they came into the game on a 4-game losing run. They've had some really bad runs, some injuries. I think one of them's out of an ACL, and there's some other really bad injuries mixed in with them. And I went to the game at St Helens, the Arsenal game. I will get to the Brighton game, but I just want to get this out of the way. I went to the game at St Helens when Arsenal played there. We won 1-0. It wasn't a great game. It was probably a bit like the Leicester game, Spurs game, really. It was a really interesting comment that Matt Beard made afterwards. He was talking to the club and said, "Are you going to get any money in the winter window?" And he said no, which raised alarm bells in my ear. Since signed Sam Kerr, though, not that Sam Kerr, the other Sam Kerr, and she's come on loan from Bayern Munich, and I believe played in this game. They won 2-1. Well done, Liverpool. Ends up losing run, so first win in 5. Just a quick question: who was the last team Liverpool beat in the WSL before this one? Anyone know? Hello? That's right, it was Aston Villa. Liverpool took the lead for Olivia Smith. Olivia Smith gave them the lead, and I can just say, for what I say about Liverpool, Olivia Smith, what a player! I know they've shelled out, I think, £210,000 on her. So they went all in on this young, I think it's Canadian. Then they got her from the Portuguese league. Only 20 years old now and looks a real star. Picks the ball on the halfway line. So Brighton going for the attack. Liverpool crowd up the Brighton on the edge of the box. ping a ball out wide. Olivia Smith on the halfway line, burns the defender at pace, bursts into the box and smashes it over the keeper and into the top bins. It's a brilliant goal of individual brilliance. But the problem is Liverpool don't build on that. And they have chances. They have really good chances, and they don't take them. And of course, again, it's the old adage, if you don't take your chances, Brighton get a counter, comes to Paris, shoots, deflects, loops over the keeper, back of the net, 1-1 level pegging. And it could have easily gone all the way. Were it not for a fact, and we spoke about comedy own goals in our Leicester Spurs game, this one is probably more unfortunate than him, but still humorous. Carabali, across comes in the box, knows nothing about it, hits her and just goes straight into the net, and Liverpool get a 2-1 win. Liverpool probably deserved the win based on the chances created, but the fact that the goals they scored was a moment of individual brilliance by their star player and a fluke says probably more about the fact that there is a real lack of goals, like a spread of goals across the team. Because Olivia Smith is 20 years old. She's a brilliant talent, but she can't carry the whole team through a season. And she's very raw talent as well. I think that I want to say her last goal might have been against Manchester City at Anfield when they lost 2-1, and that was a great moment for her. But obviously, Bunny Shaw was a very good striker as well. So I do have concerns over Liverpool. They should stay up because West Ham United, Leicester City, and Crystal Palace also play in the WSL, so they should be all right. But I've wrote a piece about this at the halfway line about Liverpool, and I just feel for a team of that caliber who also has WSL winning heritage in it as well, should do a lot more. And the idea that there was no money in the winter window just sort of was weird for me, because it's not like Liverpool are like a small plucky club punching up against they are Liverpool. They are very strongly backed. There should be the funds to make Liverpool a really big team. And I think it's one of the frustrations. And if you take the 2 seasons when they won the league out of the question, and they won those seasons because they did invest big and they brought in a lot of talent in, a lot of household names went to that team for about 2 years. In the women's side, they've never really been a huge big team. They've always, again, I've done a lot of history with Arsenal going back old seasons. There were times Arsenal went to Liverpool and won 11-2. That's the sort of level we're talking about here. And I just feel it's criminal that for a men's team of such heritage has not done the same with the women's team, because I think there's such high potential in Liverpool. I'd love to see Liverpool women playing Champions League football at Anfield. How amazing would that be?
Yes.
And for whatever reason, last season I think it's 5th they finished in the end, or 4th. Sorry, Man United finished 5th.
Yes.
Finished 4th last season. I thought, right, this season, go for it. And it's the old 4th place curse. Or 5th place curse. Aston Villa had that strong season, fell back a bit. Sorry to bring them up. It's kind of happened again with Liverpool. But a win's a win for them. I love the tweet that Liverpool put out when Matt Beard celebrating in the stands, and there's a comment saying, when you have fajitas, when you hear there's fajitas for tea. Yeah, and I thought I totally vibe with that. Because I like my Beard's manager. I think he's a very good manager, and he's a good match with Liverpool. And they've got the win, so I'm chuffed for them, and they'll stay up by default. I just think it's a
Nancy really agrees with you, Adam.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, she's really yelling.
Yes, meowvelous. Yes, sorry, that joke was in poor taste. I want Liverpool to be more, because I think they can be more, and maybe one day they will be. They got this win. They'll stay up. I can't remember, are they out the FA Cup yet, or did the game get postponed? I can't remember how they all lined up on that one. But
they are playing West Ham, and then the winner of that plays Rugby Borough.
So they got postponed. That's
29th, I believe, is the rescheduled.
At Kilsby Lane, which is a field.
Yeah, so
rugby. So that'll be a shock.
Bit of history with Liverpool. We actually played him in a FA Cup final at Tranmere Rovers ground. So you could argue it was actually a Liverpool home game that day, and we won 3-2. Marianne Spacey with the winner. Again,
Marianne Spacey.
Marianne Spacey. There's a name from the past. Yeah, early 90s. Yeah. Good with Liverpool 2-1. Brighton, I told you they're bonkers, they're chaotic. They didn't win this one, but again, I think they've got enough points on the board to stay up. I don't think they're going to make it into Europe. They're not going to win the League Cup because we just knocked them out. So it's just on the, get a strong finish and have some fun and see what happens next season. But not a win for them this time.
Yeah, see what they can do with the rest of the season. Yeah, Tony's just put in the chat there. Liverpool are having their Everton 21-22,
Yes.
Spurs 22-23, Villa 23-24. Yes, they are. There's something about them, but it's just not quite going the way they thought it would. And I'm even more annoyed because I took Olivia Smith out of my fantasy team.
Basically, if your media pick to do well, and you're not one of the top three, you're screwed. Is the lesson.
Pretty much. So, thank you very much for that one, Adam. Right, let's go. I can't believe the time, so let's keep going. Paul, we'll come to you next for another big scorer, one of the 5-0s of the weekend. We'll come to you for West Ham 0, Chelsea 5. Again, inevitable that Chelsea were going to win, but yeah, what did West Ham do during this one for us, Paul?
Very little, and that was the problem. Like, it was one of those games where you thought, can there be any sort of resistance? And then Kat Macario scored after 11 minutes, and you went, maybe not.
Yeah.
And it's 3-0 by half time. Erin Cuthbert, Aggie Beaver Jones scoring as well. Sondy Baltimore, converted wing back Sondy Baltimore doing her thing. And then Amber Tiziak scoring as well. Will you shush?
Yeah, Matthew really summing it up there. Kat Macario, absolute thunder bastard. Yes.
Like,
water corker.
Kat Macario doing what she does. And it still really annoys me, by the way, Chelsea fans, that you have not adopted Chaperone as Kat Macario's song. Because I've even written it for you. Macario, Kat Macario, score a goal. Job done.
Yeah.
Done. Needs to be done.
Yeah.
We'll tell Rosie.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
Yeah, there is a problem with that. There's probably a chance though, because Chelsea only know chance, and they basically need to tell everybody how to spell their name. So it's just tell them how to spell their name, and they need to remind you who they're playing. So it's just Chelsea, 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 and that's it. That's all you get. And then sometimes they'll spell it out for you, which is even nicer.
In fair, their tone does change slightly, doesn't it? Kind of go Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea,
yeah.
And then
that's it. That is it. So yeah, maybe.
All the cases they sing bad reggae songs or yell racism. That's just the men's game.
No, they do. I think they mix a lot of songs. There is a that jingle they play at the beginning. They do play the women's games, I believe, as well. But yeah, I mean, I only say because our fan base have got quite the songbook. I'll maybe push the agenda hard enough. Maybe you get lucky.
But I'll tell you what, West Ham should have pushed Chelsea a lot harder and actually played. They just didn't. Like,
you think people give Chelsea too much respect? Like, they just go into it thinking we're going to lose?
I think Chelsea have won the mental battle over 90% of WSL teams, and I think we saw it in that Chelsea-Arsenal game at the Emirates. And this is one of the reasons I'm looking forward to the rematch, because I'm fascinated to see if because it's a very different Arsenal team and the Rene Slagers. I'm fascinated to see if that kind of mental block that Chelsea have with the teams has gone.
I agree. There is obviously, I think there is a mental battle thing with Chelsea with a lot of teams where they basically instinctively go, we just got to batten down the hatches and hope it's not a double figures. If we get a 2-0 loss or a 1-0 loss, we'll take that and we'll move on. With the Arsenal game, I think there's a lot more mentally than just, we're playing Chelsea. I think there was a lot more sort of mentally in-house stuff, which led to, we just come off a 5-2 battering at Bayern Munich, where basically the heads dropped to just the way that team imploded. It was the final days of Jonas. You could just see on the pitch that the team was just spent, just like, which happens. And I think it leans more into that because, again, we talk about derbies and rivalries. Arsenal always raised their game when they played Chelsea at home at Emirates Stadium. Until that point, they had never lost at home to Chelsea at Emirates Stadium. That is the one game with if you can't raise yourself for that, that's not just because we're already playing Chelsea. That's because there was something intrinsically wrong within the setup in the team, and of course Jonas resigned a few days later, and things are where we are now. So I wouldn't say mental Chelsea battle ahead with that particular game, but certainly I can think of other games, and West Ham was obviously one of them. Crystal Palace, you could argue, when they got trounced at, I think was it Selhurst Park that got battered at the end at the beginning of the season. I think it was a lot of teams where it's like, it's Chelsea, get this one out of the way, and then maybe we'll get something when we play Leicester City or Spurs.
It's as soon as the first one goes in against Chelsea, I think people go,
yeah,
just see heads drop.
Yeah.
Which is why when Villa was only 1-0, it was like woohoo, and they actually fought against it, didn't they? They actually put out a good team to actually fight for it. I am just laughing at Emma in the chat because she's put La Ligament instead of La Liga. Autocorrect is not on her side tonight.
I mean, if it's elective tears, it's like ACL ligament.
Oh, is it too soon? Is it too soon to joke about?
I don't think you should ever joke about the ACL injury. It's someone who's, a team who's gone through, more than 4 in one season, and we've still got one from another season, and we got more. I mean, it's awkward. It's awkward when you've got more ACLs and trophies in the last few years. That's the thing. It's just, yeah.
But I think it's one of those, and I think we just saw Chelsea's intrinsic power, if you like, mental power. As soon as Macario scored, you saw West Ham's mentality change, because they set up 5-3-2 to try and stop Chelsea, and it had lasted 11 minutes. And then it's, oh God, we've got to chase the game. We're going to get annihilated.
Yeah. And again, I was just looking at who scored. So it was Macario, Cuthbert in the 21st minute, Beebe Jones in the 44th, Baltimore in the 52nd, and then Amber Tiziak got an own goal in the 85th. You just think, why not? Throw an own goal in there. Might as well. It's got this point. They did have 6 shots, though, West Ham.
How many on target?
1.
1 compared to 23 and 10. But hey,
which to be fair, is 1 more than Spurs had, and Spurs won 1-0. So
that's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Dear. Yeah, so that was 5-0 to Chelsea, of course. We're going to come to me next. We're going to talk about the Saturday game, which was Everton 1, Aston Villa 1. And Villa did a usual. They get an early goal and then they concede in the final bloody moments again. But let's talk about it. So this was just 2 completely different halves. Like, I don't recognize the second half Villa compared to the first half. It was awful. So first half, they come out, they dominate, because obviously we've all seen Everton's transfer window. Fantastic new names that they brought in with the new money because of the new group that's taken over. Villa, of course, have lost people, some unofficially, that the club still haven't announced. I will talk about that in a sec. But yeah, they came out, dominated, and I thought, this is quite nice. So Ebony Salmon came so close to opening the scoring after some lovely footwork by Adriana Leon, as per usual. It was Jill Bying's first league start after making her appearance in the cup game last week. Courtney Brosnan is just incredible. We need to we always sing her praises, but we just need to say it again and again. 9 saves she made. 9. I think 7 were from inside the box as well, compared to Sabs D'Angelo's 2. So in that sense, it was very Villa heavy. The shots on goal. Now, Everton were able to capitalise on Villa's mistakes, that they always make. Friend of the pod, T-Payne, Tony Payne, of course, had a really good attempt on goal, but Sabs was there to collect, so no danger there. So 31st minute, Noelle Moritz, who had a really, really strong game until she got a yellow, I think, quite near the end. In a very attacking position, she was really high up the pitch. Lovely cross in, and Rachel Daly, of course, trademark header straight past Courtney Brosnan, and everyone was just like, 1-0, 30 minutes, looking at the clock like, okay, can we do it? Can we do it by this point? Can we keep it? Now, without Kenza Darley, who was there, and Nick, who I do the Villa podcast with, she shouted, Kenza, don't go. Obviously to no avail, because Kenza has gone. But yeah, so without her, Rachel Daly was playing in a deeper role. She's just playing more that 10 with Ebony up front and Gabby up front as well. Now, she's able to play that deeper role well, but of course she needs herself as a duplicate to then actually get inside the box. Now, so the first half, quick, attacking, fluid, great. Second half, yeah. Everton subs made the difference, and that's quite nice to see, actually, that they could bring this depth on. Villa looked like they could get another one. Gabby Nunes had a free kick in a really nice position, but again, had to be punched away by Brosnan. Mary Taylor had a shot on goal. The luck is not with Miri at all. She just can't seem to get the ball in the back of the net. 55th minute. Have we all seen Kelly Gargo play for Everton? How bloody quick is she? Every time she got on the ball, genuinely worried she was going to do some damage. But luckily, Villa's defence did stay strong. But certainly not comfortable. Certainly not comfortable. Beatrice Sari came on just after the 70th minute. And just when it was looking like Villa's defence had held on long enough, what happens? Sari takes her chance. And after the ball lands at her feet, fortunately enough for her, after a little deflection, fires a shot past Sabs. And honestly, there was nothing she could do about it. And that was in the 89th minute. And he just thought, right, keep it. Just please don't concede anymore. Just keep it. And yeah, Gargo on her debut has a shot at Sabs as well. I think that was like in the 91st minute. But luckily it was collected. Now, Villa's subs were... okay. Kirsty Hansen's always going to be phenomenal. But we really needed someone. We needed Sarah Malin on. We needed Maz Pacheco on, who have got the legs, who have got the pace, who can actually do some damage with it. And it just felt like the subs didn't really add anything to the game. It was very much a hold on, which is completely different to the attack and fire we've seen in the last couple of matches, where they've just kept going for those goals. Ultimately feels like some players have maybe fell out of favour a little bit, so they're just not even getting a look in. Stats-wise, Villa had 14 shots, 10 on target, compared to Everton's 6 and 3, 26 touches in the box, and you just think, what else? What else needs to happen? Because ultimately we don't want to be left behind. But of course, news out of Villa this evening, there is a new manager. We have got a new manager. This is Natalia Arroyo. Spanish ex-player, ex-journalist, and she worked at the Catalan Football Association, I believe, for 9 years. And she got to Champions League with Real Sociedad. She was there for 4 years. So she's got this good energy about her. And she's just released an interview, which I haven't quite managed to read yet, but hopefully she, I've read something like she's wants to take the club to the next step, that they're at a really important pivotal point, and hopefully she's the person to do it. But yeah, on that Kenza Dali announcement, then she announced it on her personal social media that she was gone, that she was leaving. Nothing from the club. Nothing at all. So some people are saying maybe they're waiting for her contract to end before they announce it. But I don't know. But they've officially released an elite mutually. Kenza's gone. Freya Gregory's gone to Newcastle. And yeah, new manager in today. So it's very up in the air for Villa at this moment, which is quite annoying, I have to say. And we've got a rumour that Caitlin Talbot is possibly coming on loan for the rest of the season. So yeah, another goalkeeper. But ideally, as I said earlier, I'd like another centre-back or a number 10 would be quite nice. But yeah, but it's a point for Villa at the end of the day, which takes them 10 points, same as Everton, of course. But again, far too close to the bottom of that bottom of the table for my liking. Right then. Matthew said that, am I the only one that thinks Sean Goat should have been given a chance? Just like they've seen Slegers at Arsenal. Yeah, he said he wanted the job. But they're saying they're keeping all the same coaching staff. So maybe it's just a better fit for the moment that he stays as assistant, as he is. So yeah, never mind. But a point, and I'll take it for Villa. Right, we've got two more. Yeah, we've got two more. Right. Adam, we'll come to you next. You finally get to talk about your beloved Arsenal.
Yes.
It was a lovely 5-0 win. Whoops, wrong side. 5-0 win over Crystal Palace. So talk us through this one, please.
Yes, I was just going to say, I actually watched one of the few games I actually watched was the actual the Villa Everton game, because I was doing the match reporting for the halfway line, and I'm thinking, oh great, a nice easy. Oh, it was not a well, apart from the 2 goals, it was a bit of a grind to get through at times. I want to say I think Villa are quite unlucky. I thought they had some really good chances, and then Everton did kind of pull the rug out from under you, because you'd had 3 wins in all competitions until then under Sean Coater, I think, and then ever since, and then. But anyway, new manager. Hopefully, you get the Rene manager bounce, and you'll be up the table in no time. Arsenal. So yes, new manager Rene officially now our full-time official manager. I know it's a long process to decide that the best person is the one that was already in charge. But I think there's many ways you can spin around it. I mean, there's arguments that maybe there aren't many great options at the moment, especially when you see some of those options have taken up places elsewhere. I mean, Casey Stoney's now the manager of Canada, for example.
Yes.
Carla Ward's gone to Ireland. Wish her obviously all the best over there. So it is Renee Slahers, and again, something I wrote about. She's in a very unique position that she's obviously a manager that was popular in house before she got the job, which is a kind of a weird one. We haven't gone sort of in house promote upwards to manager since I think when Laura Harvey got the job back in, I want to say 2009, I think it was, when she came in mid-season and won the league that season, so that worked out well. No, 2010, sorry, 2009-2010 season. So now Meadow Park, so first WSL game at Meadow Park for quite some time, which was very bad because I got there and I couldn't remember where I sat, because we hadn't we hadn't had a WSL game at Meadow Park since the last game of the previous season, because we've been at Emirates Stadium for a lot of them. But last we were at Meadow Park for this one. Cracking ground, cracking atmosphere, and made the perfect start. 6 minutes in, McCabe corner in, lands on the foot of Leah Williamson, who volleys in. First goal for Arsenal since 12th of March in 2023.
Her reaction was incredible. It was so
4-0 win against Reading, that was. We've been waiting for that Leah goal for quite some time. And obviously, she had the horror of the ACL, as so many players go through nowadays. And that meant a lot. And we're really chuffed for her. And we were Paul was alluding to with the West Ham Chelsea game about the idea that the players drop their heads, the first goal goes in. And I just knew, because, again, historically, more under Jonas, historically very bad against low blocks. And if you're playing a low block, which Crystal Palace are always going to do, you have to get that early goal in, because otherwise it just the opposition build up their confidence. They get more confident with the defending. The home team gets more frustrated, and eventually you get a 0-0 draw, which we've had too many of. So I was really proud that we got off the mark nice and early. But I'll say credit to Palace. They did not drop their heads. They were really good defensively, and we really struggled to pick them apart. We couldn't find the right passes, had some ambitious shots from range, and Palace should have equalised. There was a really scary moment. I think his name was Kato, was clean through, got all over top, bypassed defence, stabs it wide. And I was watching it again, and I thought, and I was a bit sort of, because Arsenal, I've read too much history, scarred by the past, and the game that comes to mind is Birmingham City, 2-0 away in Jonas's first season. First game back from Christmas, and we lose it, and we lose the league by a point. You just think Arsenal historically they come back from Christmas quite cold form-wise, and we gone into Christmas on such brilliant form, culminating in that win against Bayern Munich, which was amazing. One of the best games ever at Meadow Park. And I just felt, I don't want to lose that momentum. I want us to pick up where we left off. And it just found that first half, I thought, this is going to be a really tight game. Arsenal, they're not going to be fluent. They're still a bit, got too many Christmas puddings and pigs in blankets in them. They're not fully up to speed. Yeah. And the key moment came on 57 minutes. And that's what really tough with Renee, is that she's got the tactical acumen to see the game and to make the right decision. 57 minutes, she brings Caitlin Ford on. She shuffles the patch. She brings Caitlin Ford on for Frida and Mornham, shuffles around Mariona and Beth Mead in the free behind Russo. Instant, pays dividends. Ford tires the Crystal Palace left flank a new one. Drives from left hand side, shoots straight at the keeper. Keeper spills it. Russo's there. Tap in, 2-0, follows it up 3-0. One of the best. There's 5 goals to pick from, but this is the goal of the match. Leah picks up in the defense. runs up to the half lane, pops onto Mariona. Mariona plays the most delightful of round the corner passes in the midfield. First time, pings it round for the onrushing Fox to bomb down the right flank. Fox, one touch, instant pass straight into onto Russo. Russo, straight immediate pass straight onto Beth Mead, middle of the box, no doubt. First time 1-0, just boom, 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 1-0. And it's such an anti-Jonas goal because Jonas was all about the structure. It's all about the structure and the team and to the minute detail. And it meant that when we got these low blocks, we just struggled because it was all about the system and focusing on where we to pass to. Whereas this was instinctive football, which is brilliant, and that fluidity that Rene's given this team. I really loved that goal. It was 3-0 and it was just nice. I think it was 67 minutes in, so it had about just over 20 minutes to go. 3-0 up at Meadow Park, and it was just sort of like 20 minutes of just bliss. It's like relaxing into a nice, warm, hot bubble bath, or or in jacuzzi, just relaxing. Doesn't matter. I can just enjoy the next 20 minutes and whatever, because Crystal Palace were beaten by then. It was just if we wanted any more goals. And what I really like by Arsenal is they didn't just sit on a 3-0 lead and go, yeah, that's fine. They wanted that more and more goals, because goal difference, as we saw last season, is crucial. And they did. They got the fourth goal. Marion a penalty, cold bottom corner, which is great because obviously she missed one away at Liverpool, though did score against Bayern 1. So Marion looks like she's inheriting the Kim Little role of penalty taking. Kim Little was subbed off beforehand, and looks like she's quite good at them, which is quite handy. And then, of course, the crowd's all chanting, "We want 5." And the fans that next to me had predicted before the game, and she said, "Oh, I think we'll win 5-0." And I was like, "You do?" I like your enthusiasm. I'm just going to go for a safe 2-0 here. And when it got to 4-0, thinking, "Oh, actually, we could get 5-0 here." And the clock's ticking. We've gone to 90 minutes. There's about 6 minutes of added time. There's not going to be enough time. And then we get one more attack. Russo hits the post. Again, I'm really glad to see Russo actually obviously got that goal, continuing our form. Because at the start of the season, she just didn't have any form. It was really, she was the big striker. We paid nothing for to get to the club, and she was. Start of the season, we were thinking, right, this is she's going to kick on and she's going to hit form, and she didn't. Rene's come in and just Russo is boom. She's the striker we've been wanting. Hits the post this time. She doesn't get the brace, but Mariona is there to rush in and curl it in the near post and 5-0. And it's like, right, this is exactly what we should be doing: is taking teams like Crystal Palace to the cleaners, because we are better than them, in just terms of quality of personnel. And that's not to disparage Crystal Palace. Great that they're up. It's just where we are at the moment on their journey. Again, I'm always one for the underdogs, so I hope Crystal Palace do stay up. And the fact that Leicester City scored in their own net for Spurs means they're still within a fighting chance. So I think it's only a point between the two of them at the moment. So yes, it wasn't Crystal Palace's day, but we got the win, and means I think we're only we knew that, and we got second place. It was just about what happened in the derby, which obviously we'll get to, whether we would stay there. And as it turns out, Man United did us a bit of a favour there by knocking Man City down. So second place. I mean, if you told me when in the last time we played Chelsea, Jonas's last game before he resigned, that we would be, well, certainly at the turn of the year, but we're now definitely 11 games in, so we are at the halfway point of the WSL. Everyone's played everyone once. If you told me at that point, oh yeah, you'll be second, within brushing the fingers of the coattails, your fingers brush the coattails of Chelsea, just you're within, like, I don't think we'll catch them, but 7 points, it's not insurmountable if we win at Stamford Bridge. You're in there. I think we'd take that if we finish second place this season. I think compared to how we started, great. It just means that we've got to be like unbelievable for the next 11 games, which I think might be a bit unreasonable. But it's quite the turnaround from Rene, and that deserves a lot of credit. And I'm always a bit wary with interim managers getting those new manager bounces, and you get sort of drawn in, and you think, oh, maybe smiles back on people's faces. The words Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes to mind. But the thing is with Rene, she has got winning experience. She's won 2 league titles in the Damallsvenskan in Sweden with Rosengård. Curiously, one of the curiosities is that she actually took the job because Jonas left to go to a club called Arsenal. You may have heard of them. So now it's happened. History has repeated itself, and now she's got the job after Jonas departed again. so it's not like we've got like a rookie manager who's getting their first break. She's somebody who has winning experience and is very young. She came into coaching at a very, very young age because she had a very bad knee injury in an international against England. Meant she retired at the age of 29. And she'd already sort of started coaching after then. She'd been in the Swedish league for quite a while, and now we've got her on our side. And even more interesting is that very, very early days, I know, like youth career, she played for Arsenal for a season. She played.
Yes, I remember reading that. Yeah.
And there's a lot of misreported news in the media that she never played a game. And me and my friends, we're doing a lot of digging on this. She played twice for Arsenal in a competition called the London County Cup, or the FA London's Women's Cup. It's got various different names. She came off the bench twice in that competition, including the final. So she did win, and it was the season, the 2006-07 season, the season when Arsenal won all the games and won all the trophies, and actually won 6 trophies, and that was one of them. And we have found the picture of her with the Arsenal team with the trophy after beating Millwall Lionesses, as they were known then, 2-0. Yeah. So she has played for Arsenal, worn the red and white of Arsenal, albeit briefly, and then her career went elsewhere. So it's kind of a coming full circle, and she's loved by the fans. And she's loved by the club, loved by the fans, and it's quite nice because things got very toxic by the end of the Jonas, and it's not nice when there is a disparity between fan and manager. And it's just at the moment, Chelsea could change that. Obviously, at the moment it's nice, and that 5-0 win went down very, very well, and here's hoping for more.
100%. And she's proven to be a winner as well, like you said, hasn't she? She's done the job interim, but it's been a very good interim period where the players just look like themselves again, which again, as take all my hats off who I support, it's so much better to watch them this season than previous, and it's so good. And as I hear, 2nd and 2 cups out of the 3 we're in would be amazing. Consider how the season started.
That's the thing. And now the way the season started, I think sometimes it's very easy to forget when your team goes through a rough patch, the talent you actually have in your team. And you start to think, oh, this player can't do it, this player's, and then the fresh manager comes in with fresh ideas. The team looks revitalized, and suddenly those players are scoring goals for fun, are setting up goals for fun. And it's like, this is the Arsenal that I know. The only caveat being is you could argue between Arsenal losing at home to Chelsea and now is they've probably had the Bayern Munich at home and Manchester United away side games that are very winnable if Arsenal are playing well. What Rene deserves credit for is that consistency of they have won those games. Yeah. I'm really interested to see how she does when she goes away to Arsenal, away to Chelsea, and away to Manchester City with Arsenal, because that is really going to. That is I say I was fearing Manchester City away. That might be a case of fearing the name and not the game, as we may get to. But certainly Chelsea away, and given she's going up against a Champions League winning manager, managing a team that is unbeaten in all competitions, only drawn once and won every other game. Thank you, Leicester. That's going to be the real challenge, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and again, it is a challenge. And it keeps it exciting and it keeps it going. Right, okay, we've got one game left, and then we will let everyone go to bed, because I realise we've gone on a lot longer than we usually do. But hopefully everyone's we've got loads of people watching. So we're near the end, guys. Hold in. I was just laughing, Paul, before we get to the actual derby. Skinner, they've released Skinner's comments about the defeat this evening. And he's blaming the fact that they should have had a penalty. So he's blaming the refs. I don't know if anyone in the chat saw the match tonight, the Man United match. But yeah, Skinner's saying, it makes all the difference in these games when, you don't have the right decisions go for you. But yeah, it should have been a penalty. And that's what he's going with.
Well, Mark, should we tell you what else makes a difference for you? When an England international goalkeeper has a bloody nightmare.
Oh, it was a shocker.
Oh, nice segue.
Obviously, I was genuinely worried during the game because I thought I might have to be nice about Mark Skinner's tactical acumen. I don't. And the reason I don't is because Mark Skinner had nothing to do with winning that game.
Correct.
100%.
100%.
The first goal, so obviously it was a truly surreal first half hour. Manchester United going 3-0 up at the Etihad, which, by the way, actually lived up to its nickname of the Empty Had, because it was considerably empty, which is...
It was as silent as a grave. I was watching TV. It was like, I can't hear anything.
It's very
like a swimming
depressing.
pool. Yeah.
It's like, it shouldn't be, maybe controversially, there are some stadiums that are still too big. And I include the Emirates in that. I still think
shaky ground there, my friend.
The reason for that is because now it's become every week at the Emirates. Notice how heavily the attendances have dropped.
Okay, if we're going to go down that avenue, there are reasons behind that. I do think there is an element of, if we're going to go divert from the derby and just go down Emirates Stadium attendance discourse, yes, we could say we're not hitting 60,000 every single game, but I think that's to be expected, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. Yes, we had to figure a few 60,000s last season, but it has gone from being a special, unique moment to being an everyday moment. But I would rather have a consistent 30 to 40,000 in the lower tier every game than wild peaks and troughs. And I think we still will get 60,000 in when we've got, let's say, the North London derby coming up in a few weeks' time, and I think you will get a stronger attendance in. But I'd also argue, if you're getting 30,000 in or 40,000 in for a home game against Brighton, and they're making a ridiculous record, that's not a bad thing. And the problem also Arsenal have is that the other ground, Meadow Park, only has a capacity of 4,000. So there is no happy medium. You've either got to stay in the ground that is, I think, the second smallest in the league, or you just bite the bullet and just say, right, okay, we may have a smaller percentage, but we will grow. And Arsenal have shown they can get 60,000 in there if the things line up properly.
I mean, it does show up, and I am going to be nice about Arsenal again.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
It does show there is positivity there at the Emirates if they are half filling it, and you more realise that when you see stuff like the Manchester derby barely
100%.
And Old Trafford only getting 12,000 people turn up for the opening game of the season, which is
having to shut stands and move fans. Yeah,
frankly,
I'm not commenting on Villa Park because it's very.
I tell you what, I've been to Villa Park. I went to Villa Park last season, and I loved it. And I hope
it's lovely. It's lovely. I can't say a bad word against it, but I wish they did what the Emirates do when they fill the whole lower tier. And then they go up, and then so you've actually got that surround sound.
And also home fans in the whole end. Away fans in the whole end is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway.
But anyway, yes, right.
We were talking about derbies, weren't we?
we were talking about derbies, and Kiara Keating. You don't want to jump on goalies.
No.
But either Gareth Taylor and the playing out of the back rule is one thing, and it just doesn't work, which is weird because Kiara Keating's distribution is incredible.
Yeah.
But I also think that the first goal was Hinata Miyazawa who made it, who's a player, by the way, one of the many players who Mark Skinner hasn't been using. And she has had the chance to step in the derby. And if you watch the first goal, it's kind of eventually a slip through from Turland for Ella Toon to do a boring Ella Toon style finish from 7 yards that was unremarkable. But Hinata Miyazawa's flick the ball one way, go the other round Yui Hasegawa is gorgeous. Like, forget the goal. Just watch the first move where Miyazawa goes round Hasegawa and flicks the ball, which you won't even get credit for an assist, and it's really annoying. Like, this is why I'm obviously, because my other sport is ice hockey, and they give second assists. Like, they'll have a goal and then the two players who touched it previously. And the number of times in football, I'm like, that should be a thing. We should count second assists, just because of the artistry to open the play. So that was the first goal. The second goal was just chaos in the box, and again,
was it offside?
I think Keating thought it was either that or she was leaden-footed moving across the goal because, it was prime Manuela Zinsberger at her worst when all Arsenal fans are shouting at her. Like, it was almost like she thought there was going to be a whistle. Is the charitable
whistle.
Indeed.
He can't stop.
That's the charitable way of looking at it. The uncharitable way is she just stopped. And Leah Galton just kind of poked it in from a yard out. And then the third goal.
I know. It's so bad. Because it was worse. It happened. It was like an action replay because she'd done the same thing about 20 seconds earlier and got away with it.
Yeah.
And then she did it again. It was because I was having to do the match report for this one as well, and I was trying to make notes. And then I was making my notes that this massive error had happened. I looked up and suddenly the ball's in the net, and I'm having to rewind the game and go back. What am I missing here?
Yeah. Because I remember I'd gone in the kitchen and Georgie just went, "Oh no, you need to watch this." Like, what? What happened? She was like, "No, I can't describe it. Just come back. We'll rewind it." Because it was.
I mean, it's funny. It's one of those games where even the cameramen and the directors aren't expecting anything to happen. Because a few seconds before it, you get the shot of Chiara Keating just kind of standing there looking, and then it pans out just in time to see her.
Get the goal in.
Like, I don't know whether Hasegawa didn't expect it or whether it was slightly slow or what, but the Man United player just nips in. I think Elatoon. I'm trying to work out how Elatoon wasn't offside. There was
another defender because they think of the two defenders in the box, and the other one was too deep.
That's the only thing I can think of. The defender, the left back was further back, so even if she's nowhere near the play, she's playing Toon onside.
Yeah.
And Toon kind of finished, and her face was almost, how have I really in the Manchester derby? I've just had a tap in from a goal kick, and Keating's just sat there, and bless her, the shot of Keating sat on her haunches. It's almost like her head had gone.
Yeah.
Why didn't he take her off?
Because
I get it for you need confidence in your players and you back them and stuff like that. But if you can tell that your player's having a shocker,
that would do more damage. Because if you take them out, you're basically telling them, "I don't think you're good enough," and unfortunately, that will destroy Keating long term. You just have to ride it out. Unfortunately, what happened in the second? I don't know. Do we want to cover the brief 2 City goals? Or, we go straight to the main course.
We can cover the 2 City goals because Skinner ball asserted itself.
Yeah,
and they looked like, presumably they were actually trying to do what Mark Skinner told them because they conceded 2 goals very quickly. I mean, like Yui Hasegawa down the left side absolutely turned, I think it was Anna Sandberg, absolutely inside out to put a cross in. And then Miedemar doing Miedemar things, which we're all familiar with.
Very much so.
Just heading home. And the thing that did please me was, Miedemar doesn't celebrate anyway, but this was a particularly pointed non-celebration from Miedemar. It was almost like, even if I did celebrate goals, I wouldn't celebrate this one because it doesn't deserve it.
I need something to happen. Yeah. I'm taking charge now. Move.
And then a few moments later, Mark Skinner, I don't know what Man United set piece coach does, but he's stealing a living. Because
it's awful.
It's a simple corner to the back post from Hasegawa. Beautifully flighted ball, to be fair. But it's a free header 11 yards out.
Like, how are you giving them, actually?
How are you giving? Was it Fowler with the corner? That's my fault.
Fowler with the corner on the cross. She got 2 assists. Positives.
And it's the ponytail. That's my fault.
Yeah.
But either way, she just can't lift the ball. You cannot defend like that in a Manchester derby, 3-1 up just before half time. With a floated corner, which is a clear set-piece routine from Man City, and just a looping header. And my first watch, I thought Fallon Tullis-Joyce had somehow dived for it without using her arms, Phil Jones style. But on the second replay, you can see she does go, proper Charlotte Newsham style full-length dive, and it's just a very good header. So. 3-2 at half time. Man City with all the momentum.
Well, that's the thing, you thought game on, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And then
100%.
I'm sorry, I know swearing is not, but there is no other phrase that I can use for Man City's kickoff routine than "what the fuck."
Yeah.
Because
I screamed no. I actually watching the screen because again I missed it. I had to wind it back and I literally shouted no. Like I couldn't believe it. Like you don't do that. Like this. And I'm sorry, it's unacceptable. I watched that. I couldn't believe it was like watching it was a car crash of a performance, and it was like watching
have
a
you
novel.
not got a centre back
Yeah.
who can take a pass and lump it down the left wing, which is basically what they were. You know, it was a bog standard kickoff routine of pass it 1-2, bang down the left side, and everyone chases it like a rugby kickoff.
Yeah.
But they just decided to use Kiara Keating to do it. And Everton, having scored 2 goals already in a Manchester derby, and very clearly incredibly fired up for it.
Yeah.
Just goes charging. The ricochet goes the right way, and it's 4-2.
That was it.
And at that point, it kind of kills the game off. And you think, okay, that even a Mark Skinner Man United team are going to have to go some to lose this. And they just shut the game down. And once again, the polar necked wearing Pratt made it all about himself.
Of course he does.
Because obviously he took Elatoon off. Fair enough. Elatoon has scored a hat trick.
This clip,
It's
when she's frowned. I think I've seen it briefly, but she's like it's kind of like a people have commented that the way that she reacted wasn't great. Or it said a lot.
It's instead of us saying like, "Oh, well done," you know, you got your hat trick in the derby. Blah, blah, blah.
She scored a hat trick in a derby. She's walking off. She's getting, even if she is slightly annoyed to be taken off, which you can understand players being, she's walking off with the away fans applauding her. And then Skinner saunters over like an angry, bloody middle school geography teacher, or an angry boss asking for her to come into her office, and looks like he's telling her off. Completely takes any sort of.
He was asked about it though. Did you see that? What he said?
Oh, okay. What was his excuse for it? Because I'm genuinely curious.
It was something like, and again, if people in the chat know it better than I do, it was something along the lines of, there was nothing in it. It was just because we'd been talking about the tactics kind of beforehand and something wasn't working. And I was just like updating our why it wasn't working.
Well, don't do it there, you crap. Do it after the game. You're 4-2.
And he was like, oh, yeah, there's nothing in it. It's not like, I was just updating her about, this, that, and the other. And it's like, but you could do that after. Like, and the team
Finger scanner, he thinks tactics are those minty things you put in your mouth. That's his problem, you see.
The man has all the social awareness and grace of a bull in a china shop on LSD. He's just like...
Yeah, and it just makes us laugh because hi to Reaper, you're clearly new here. This is something to stand for the man. Holy hell! This is our weekly segment when we go in. So welcome, join us. It's great.
The thing that annoys me about it is I want to praise Man United because Elatoon coming back from injury, getting a hat trick, clearly meant a huge amount to her, especially the third goal. There was a bit of a point at the sky after the third goal. Obviously, for her dad, presumably, and all of that.
Yeah.
And still, after the game, it isn't just, so what did you think of Ella's amazing performance? It's, why did you treat her like a naughty child when you substituted her? And...
yeah, it became about that, and it's like, no, that's not what this is.
And also, the Grace Clinton-Elatoon discourse, I think Elatoon coming back is going to be very, very interesting because Grace Clinton can't play as a box-to-box midfielder. On another day, with Man City having a better midfielder, possibly a working goalie, that game would have been very, very different.
Well, maybe we saw that game. Well, we didn't see that game tonight, but maybe that's the game that happened tonight with Manchester City getting the win at LSV.
Yeah, and they needed that. If they lost that as well, there was and
of course,
And admittedly, Man United rotated, and Mark Skinner was asked about rotating and said he is aware of rotation, apparently. He's come
Yeah,
out
that's
tonight,
how he opens his door every day. Puts a key in the lock and rotates. That's how you.
But he just. I look at him and just go, he's not. Even in a derby win, we're talking about something he's screwed up on. And it's not because we want to at this particular point.
No.
I would love to talk about Hinata Miyazawa. I would love to talk about Ella Toon's hat-trick, which were both very impressive things indeed. And individually, the players' performance were very good. But he is jumping on taking credit because he's the manager. And when Man United fans are going, "Oh, the players got together and had a discussion themselves."
Yeah.
It
just makes you think what would happen with a different manager and where the club would go in. Because we know the club as a whole aren't really supportive of the women's team. They've made that very clear. So they need someone fighting their corner.
I don't think Emma Hayes does that. Emma Hayes, and the reason I pick Emma Hayes is because she's a known disciplinarian coach and she's very, very strong on things. And the thing I remember in particular is after the first game of last season on Sky, where Lauren James had a absolute belter of a game against Spurs, and the post-game interview was, didn't Lauren and Mia Fischel play incredibly well together? And her response was, well, no, actually, that we're going to be having a video session because there were lots of things I saw where they were doing things I didn't want them to do. And it's like, bloody hell, Emma. But it sounded natural. And she then went on to say they did play very well together, but there's still stuff to work on. And I don't think Emma Hayes, after a player scored a hat-trick, or Renee Slagers, or even Jonas Eidebel, for all the accusations of toxicity that were thrown at Jonas, is going to take a player who scored a hat-trick and think, oh, actually, this is the point where I explained tactic bits that weren't working.
Also, it's a bit rich for a manager to preach tactics to a player, because it's like you'd be like me trying to talk to you, Paul, about metalhead music and explain to you. It's like, it'd be pointless. It's like, it's almost patronizing. I don't vibe with that at all. I must say, we are talking about Skinner, and I know because it's a pet hate of Paul. I think we are wildly under mentioning Gareth Taylor, who I think a lot of this derby defeat rests on his head, and also with the club itself. The fact that they've, despite having an injury crisis, they're not signing defenders. Well, they're signing that, but they got rid of Alana Kennedy. Nutt came in, and I don't know. Some people were saying she looked like Alana Kennedy with a wig on, and I don't think they're too impressed. The look is uncanny. Defensively shambolic. Taylor has been messing about with the goalkeeper all season. You want to have a consistent goalkeeper. He's been chopping and changing with Yamashita and Kara Keating. Kara Keating's coming for this one. And I watched the way that Man United tore through them, and it was a defence that looked like it was set in treacle. Did not look like it was up with the right energy, did not look like it was up for the fight. I do believe that Manchester United simply won by default. The defensive disorganisation is just abhorrent. But the problem with Gareth Taylor is he has one style of playing. And it only works if his players are Gareth Taylor ball only works if his starting 11 is fit and firing. It only works if he has Alex Greenwood in defence and he has Bunny Shaw up top and he has wingers who can like Hemp, who can bomb down the wings and cross for Shaw to score. That is Taylor ball. Now it works because Bunny Shaw is a really, 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 really good striker which can score lots of goals, and that's why they almost won the league until Bunny Shaw, the machine, broke down about 5 games out or however it was, and it meant they tripped over their shoelaces when Arsenal came and Steiner got 2 goals and they lost the league. But Bunny Shaw's out injured, Alex Greenwood's out injured, and I think back to when Jonas was in charge of Arsenal and we had all the ACLs and all the terrible injuries. Jonas said, right, I can't play my style of football because if I play my style of football, my team's going to get taken to cleaners in every single game. So what do? I change the way I'm playing. I go, right, we're going to go back 3. We're going to play with 2 10s. He shuffled the team around and it got us over the line and got us something. Taylor's like, no, I'm going to play my way. We play out the back. He even talks about it in his press conference. We have our style of playing. We play out the back. That's all we're going to do. But it's no good, Gareth, because your players because the players you want to use are injured and the players that have come in can't play that style. And that's why you have just awful moments of Cara Keating. I think the first goal, the third goal, and the fourth goal all come from her distribution going wrong, either being intercepted or passing to the wrong player. Now, the only reason they got 2 goals is because Manchester United, as you referenced, Paul, Manchester United lost their marbles about 5 minutes before half time, and Man City got 2 goals out of it. It actually reminded me, if you remember back to when England played Germany at Wembley a few days ago, the parallels are quite uncanny, where Germany raced to a 3-goal lead because we were defensively bad, and then we nipped 2 goals when they stopped playing for a bit. And then in the second half, I mean, that goal just Cara. I really did worry for Cara Keating, and part of me did think, oh, do you take her off? I said, no, you've got to ride it out. But what it showed was, Man United could gone with another 2 goals up. There were still 45 minutes for Man City to get back into it. They've already got 2 goals from a scoreboard. They know they got goals. They've got Vivian Mead, but I know she has still come back from an injury, but she's already on the score sheet. She's a very good player. And I think we can honestly say at no point in that 45 minutes did any of us actually believe Manchester City were going to score a goal. They had all the possession, they had chances, they had shots. Did you ever believe for 1 second they were going to make it to 4-3 or even to 4-4? I don't think any of us did.
There was about a 5-minute window when I went, oh.
There might have been one moment. I think there was a moment. I think it was a Fowler had a flick shot that Tyler Sturridge did really well to tip behind. But there was no big grand siege on the Manchester United goal. Didn't have a crowd, so the crowd wasn't exactly up for it. Really crushing them in, because we know Man United are flaky. We saw that at the end of the first half.
Yeah, they can be beaten,
But the way that Gareth Taylor played, it was just footballing in insanity. And
someone's saying it's old. Sorry, Paul. Like his style of playing is really old now, and he doesn't change, and he doesn't.
Yeah, he plays the same way he did when he first came to when he first got a job at Manchester City. Oh, we got a cameo. Hello. Okay, I'll watch my language. Manchester City are playing in this. Gareth Taylor and Man City are playing in the same style of football that they've played since 2020 when he first got the job. It's the same style of play. It only works. It only looks good when he's got his best players out and he's got Bunny Shaw leading the line, and he thinks, oh, it looks great. But no, that's because you've got Bunny Shaw, one of the best strikers in the league, leading your line, scoring goals. It's nothing. And I just think him and Skinner, for me, are 2 of the biggest bluffers in the WSL in terms of football management. I think Skinner is out of his depth. I think he's a decent coach at, let's say, the Birmingham City when he did good stuff there. I think he's out of his depth at Manchester United. That being said, Manchester United are in themselves out of their own depth because they have a higher position of where they believe they should be rather than where they actually are, because they think they're a big club because they're Manchester United. But if you look through the history, you realise the history this iteration began about 7 or 8 years ago. Which always make the comment that Mark Skinner made when they went out with Champions League, saying, oh, we should be the champions every season. We're Manchester United. And thinking, well, that same logic applies to Aston Villa.
It's you've got to earn it.
Exactly. So I don't
Champions League. Come on.
I've no time for Mark Skinner as a Manchester United manager. I think it's an appointment of limited ambition. And I think fair play that won the FA Cup, but to be fair, they also faced Tottenham in the final. And if they hadn't beaten Tottenham in the final, I think a lot more questions need to be asked. Okay, they beat Chelsea in the semi-final, but I think that team was on its last legs at that point. And Gareth Taylor, I think it's absolutely criminal. He's coach of Manchester City, one of the richest clubs in the world, with one of the best backed clubs in the world. He's been at the club for, I'd say, he's come up to over 5 years now, and he's won 2 trophies. And one of them was actually from the previous season because it was a carryover from COVID. And then it was an FA Cup, won the League Cup, and he's won nothing since. Managers have been sacked for winning more in that time than him, or departed or resigned or however you. And he gets a free pass because they come second in a season and they go, oh, they got close. Oh, they're doing a very good job. We'll give them another year. Taylor and Skinner, that's why I saw this Manchester derby as just 2 incompetent managers sort of bashing heads together and see which one ended up with more brain fluid leaking out than the other. As it turns out, Gareth Taylor was the one that ended up on the wrong side. But no, I'm not surprised. I don't pin that win on Skinner as much as I don't pin that defeat on the players. I thought they were both incompetent. Congratulations to Toon, a hat-trick, and made her the player of the match. And think she was brilliant. She profited because Man City gift wrapped them about 3 or 4 goals. Do I see it for them being a manager? I always think if the clubs, Man City, Man United, they had football intelligence upstairs who cared about the team and cared about the club and wanted it going direction forward and had it all planned out, then they would be looking for the next generation of manager to come in for them. But I just think if they're just flirting around third and fourth place, they might get in the Champions League spots. They might stay in the top three. They can sort of kid themselves thinking, "Oh, we're doing great. We're on track. We okay. We maybe got to a final, we missed out, but we're in Europe, so that's fine, and we'll move on." And that's where we are at the moment, I feel. So no, it's a bonkers game, but at the same time, an unsurprising one. And I think more needs to be said about the managers, as you say, Paul, with Skinner, but also I think with Taylor.
I mean, Skinner. Man United had 26% possession.
Yeah, that just shows also how Man City dominated the game and did nothing with it. It was slow, tepid, boring. No pace, no energy. Man United had credit to Man United. They actually had energy. They were up for a football match. They knew it was a derby. I don't think Manchester City realised there was a derby happening. For about 40 minutes, they didn't turn up. They were so passive. It was criminal. And well, they won this game, so they're in the semi-finals of the League Cup, and maybe they'll beat us at Meadow Park, and maybe they'll get to a final. Who knows? But I don't rate either manager. I don't see either club being successful if those managers stay in charge.
Well, they didn't win because they weren't at the Joy Stadium, because Taylor couldn't get his branding in. So there we go.
Exactly.
And luckily for us, guess who Villa are facing this weekend? Woohoo!
Hey, I always say Aston Villa at home to Manchester City remains one of the greatest opening games of a season ever, and I hope for something similar at the weekend, because I would say that was a stonking game, the 4-3.
Well, the last time we were at Villa Park was final day of the season,
where 2-1.
we stopped them winning. And it just makes us laugh when some of them on the away trips are like, "You lost the league at Villa Park." And it's like, well, yeah, maybe. Maybe. However, the most exciting game for a lot of people this weekend is, of course, Adam, the derby. Looking forward to it?
No, because I'm not going to be watching it. I'm working that weekend. I'm out on my non-footballing duties. I'm committed that weekend, and to be honest, away at Stamford Bridge with Arsenal women, I mean, last season was one of the most farcical moments, I think, in our history, and it was not football related. I just hope our kit man has packed the correct socks this time around.
Yes.
I had to miss that game as well because I was on a family meal and having a curry and having my phone goal alerts go off as the poppadoms are coming round, and it's like, oh, 1, 2, 3, and I say this. I said it on my pod, and I'll say it time and time again. I watched that game back, and teams win, teams lose, and I can accept that. Arsenal win, Arsenal lose, that's fine. I might be upset at the time, but I'll get over it. And defeats happen, whatever. I don't get angry because you see a lot of really hyped up people get angry on social media, and it's usually for giggles because it's quite funny watching other teams suffer, especially their fans. But I don't get angry when Arsenal lose because I sort of accept it. I got angry watching Arsenal play in that first half against Chelsea because I could not believe the things our team was doing. It was unacceptable. It was I'll compare it to, it was like watching Manchester City in the derby at the weekend. In that Stamford Bridge game, the defensive mistakes were absolutely criminal by players who should know better. And I say Leah Williamson, I say Steph Catley, I say Katie McKay. So many players in that team were just awful of a day. And I really hope they get that right this time around. I really hope they can avenge that and that, put a bit of pride back on the shirt. Of course, if you do lose, it's a league double for Chelsea. First time they've done that over us since I think 2019, 2020 when they actually won the league. I just hope for when I come off shift and check my phone, check the score, we've got something credible out of it and something to keep the momentum going. But it should be a cracking game. It always is. Arsenal-Chelsea. It rarely disappoints. Even when we drew 0-0 with them in 2022, and I was there at Kingsmeadow, and someone actually referenced it. I did see it in the comments, the Leah Williamson handball in injury time, legendary moment. One of the best nerve-wracking, thrilling 0-0 draws I've ever been to. It was hell for leather. Both sides either could have won it. One of us should have lost it. It finished 0-0. It was breathless stuff. I can't wait for it, and I look forward to whatever result. I look forward to catching up on it when I get back.
Love it. And sometimes the 0-0 games are like the best ones, even though you look at it and go, "Oh, it's 0-0." But actually, sometimes the tension.
Yeah, sometimes.
However, looking at the other fixtures, of course, we've got Palace Spurs. I think Palace might be able to get something from that one. I really do.
I think they could get a draw. I think they could if they
I hope
play the
so.
cards right. Because Spurs haven't, despite having likes of Beth England and in their team, and I think Jess Naz is there as well. Still, they've got a lot of attacking talent, but they've just got no cutting edge. I think Palace could get a point against Spurs easily.
I think Palace get 3. I think Palace haul themselves out of the relegation zone this weekend.
Could you imagine Leicester suddenly find themselves in there? Because against Liverpool are scoring, probably not as much as they want to, but certainly more than Leicester.
If Olivia Smith's on it, they could get something. And I think the Liverpool season and where they finish will depend on how much they can get out of Olivia Smith this season.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Because Roman Haug, I think, is nearly back or is back, and Marie Hobbinger as well. Obviously, massive names that were missing. So maybe they start picking up steam, Liverpool.
I think as the players come back, and I think Matt Beard said before Christmas, players will be coming back in the new year, that the injuries are not long-term, it's just poorly timed, and the winter break will give them time to get them back up to speed. And I would expect the results to go up there as well. So I think Liverpool should be all right away at Leicester.
Should be all right. And then, of course, we've got West Ham, Everton. Again, that's going to be a really big game, looking at where they are.
Sorry.
One of the bad 0-0s where there's
it's going to be a bad 0-0.
Hey, you never know if our Bri, friend of the podcast, his new signings come on. If Gargo starts, I think teams are going to be in trouble because honestly, her pace is just insane.
This is the one they signed from Nantes. Is it Nantes? Is it they've signed? Is it from the French
Nantes, I believe. Yes.
Nantes. Yes, she came off the bench. I think in that Villa game. I think her and I want to say Watson as well came off the bench. I think it was.
And is it Rubadira? Have I just made that up?
No, I think that sounds right. Yeah, there's a lot of their new players, and obviously they had lads starting as well. But a lot of the new players came on, and I think give them a few. I'm quite glad that Everton have sort of got the players in because they've been on a shoestring for too long. I'm really glad they got some ownership in and they're looking to properly back their team. Because again, my history on Everton used to be quite the institution in the game. They won, beat us an FA Cup final in 2010, which I tried to forget, but they did do that. And they won a league title, I think, in the 2000s and so on. So they should be further up. They have a bit of heritage there, and hopefully these Brian Sorensen can have a proper team to play with and not an injury-stricken one.
And that's the thing. It's, all these decent managers that we do have that are stricken either by financial issues or injuries or anything that comes across.
Club backing. There's not many with a Goldilocks of a decent team and a well-run club and a decent. You just need all those three things to line up on the slot machine to hit the jackpot. Yeah. And too many. Yeah.
and then you have people, and then you have managers who do have everything given to them, and
that's what I mean. You have bad managers who have everything and good managers who have nothing. And
Speaking of which, Manchester United versus Brighton.
The last one. I hope Brighton can do that.
Well, they got a draw. They got a draw at the Amex against Manchester United early in the season, and I think they were good value for it. So I mean, if the men's Brighton team can beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, then there's no reason why the women's Brighton team can't follow in their footsteps. I think they could get something at LSV, definitely. Maybe scored. Yeah, Paris against their old team.
Yeah,
definitely see a scored. And interesting because on the other side you've got Laetitia on in Manchester United, obviously, who is ex-Brighton.
Turlin now at United as well.
And Turlin. So the narratives are all there.
Oh, the drama of the game.
Kirby, she likes getting goals against Man United.
The return of Turland. Old former friends turned foes.
I love it. We're just going to do all the clips now. Adam, we're going to hire you to do the voiceovers for all of the clipping up. That's
God.
It's great. But no, again, you want to watch good football. Like, don't care which team it is. Just give me some good football. That's all.
Give me some chaos.
Because like Reaper says, the United hate is strong. It's not hatred for.
It's not hatred for United.
It's hatred for the United under Mark Skinner. They're just a really unlikable team.
I would like Manchester United to be managed well. I would like Manchester City to be managed well, so their team and their fans have something to enjoy. because as much as we can banter and laugh about, oh, that team is in the mud because they're training in porta cabins because the men's team are using their training facilities and stuff like that. It's funny, we get the cheap shots in, but it stinks because
it shouldn't be happening.
It sucks. It shouldn't happen. I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I'm proud that I think our team at least treat our players quite well. But even in the olden days, we didn't have that. The players used to have to wait for the men to finish in the training before they could do it. We didn't. Yeah. It's been a bumpy road. We have got there. We have made mistakes along the way. Other clubs should do the same and learn. And Manchester United, sadly, don't appear to be off the pitch. And Man City don't appear to have any ambition, and that sucks. And I'm angry at them because I want them to do better. And I think a lot of clubs should do that.
And want the club to do better and invest, because we've seen when investment is made, how good it can be for the future of our sport, our game, and just what the women's game can bring. Because it is completely different to the men's, but it needs a helping hand after being banned for so long, and just needs something. It needs the good people to stay in the game. Yes. That's the issue that we've got. I do just want to say we've got another 25 viewers, and I think it's just baby related. Nothing to do with us. I think it's just you. So say thank you. She's asleep. She has no idea. Right. Okay. So we have come to the end. Thank you so much for everyone who's bared with us.
It was nearly midnight.
That was a marathon. I've got a long drive on the M25 tomorrow morning. I'm gonna have to drive. I'll have to have this playing back in the car to keep me awake.
Yeah, to see what it is. Hey, but I wouldn't change it for the world, because we've covered so much tonight. All of the announcements, all of the drama.
Adam's made himself a new podcast star because I think we want him
Adam
to
is welcome back anytime. People absolutely love you, Adam.
I'm glad someone does. And I must admit, hearing somebody on the podcast say, "I want to channel my inner Adam," no one's ever said that before. So I'm gonna take that with me.
Take it, absolutely take it. And of course, the last thing I want to say is the reason I'm wearing a Brazil shirt, and with the hashtag Sweet Carolyn, of course, was the news that City have signed Brazilian star Carolyn earlier today. And Durham have got Canadian goalkeeper Riley Foster, who made her debut this evening in the Cup as well. And I think that's actually everything from my notes. So what I'm going to do, I realised this was cutting off a bit earlier. So if anyone's still watching and wants to just do a little check for me, just tell me that this has come up, these socials. So most people watching, you will have already liked and subscribed. But if you haven't, if you are new to us this evening, please do so on the following so you can keep up to date with all of the latest content. So we're not just the women's football show on a Wednesday at 8:30. We've got the Premier League on a Tuesday and Lower League on a Thursday. Thank you to Chris. Yeah, it's come up. Good. Because it has been cutting us off, guys, and we can't have that, can we? So Twitter, of course, or X at Absolute Ball Pod, on YouTube at Absolute Football Podcast, and the same on Twitch. On TikTok, we are at Absolute Football Pod. On Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast with an underscore. On Blue Sky, where all the cool kids are, come and follow all of us. We're over there, and at Absolute Football. And on Facebook, of course, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. So please do give us like, share, comment, subscribe, because we are quite fun. We love a bit of chaos. And we've got wonderful people like Adam who want to come on the pod with us. Adam, thank you so much. It's been incredible. I hope you will come back. Where can people find more of you if you'd like them to, please?
Wow, if you really enjoyed my debut on the award-winning Absolute Football Podcast, a few places to go. X/Twitter, Adam_Salter4. I post a lot of my writing work on there where I can, a lot of professional stuff on there. I'm also on Instagram with the same handle, and on Blue Sky at AdamSalter4. No underscore there because Blue Sky for some reason doesn't let them. I am leaning more towards Blue Sky right with my rambles and so forth, but I still post on Twitter occasionally. I do a lot of side hustles. So I've got the Arsenal Women Archive. That's a big thing I'm running at the moment, which is a historical video archive of as many Arsenal women's matches from 1991 to about 2021. I've got about a year's worth of stuff I'm putting up on the moment across the year, and that's on YouTube, on Blue Sky, and on Twitter at the AW archive, and I'm writing again, which is great, which is at The Halfway Line, run by the amazing Jamie Spanger. You may know of her. I'm now writing a team, which is quite good. I'm doing a lot of match reports and long form analysis, and my big project at the moment is a project with Wikipedia. I am writing the history of the Arsenal women on Wikipedia, going backwards for every season. We're at 2002, 2003, which was the season that Fulham won the league and we had a bit of a stinker. But we're going further and further and further back, and we hope to have a lot of it written down in the coming months. Hopefully, early 90s we're trying to get to.
That's incredible. It really, really is. And for people like you, Adam, that are keeping the history, because it is so hard to find.
Yeah.
And you think pre-2017.
Yeah, a lot of that is that. A lot of stuff you see clips and puts up, it's very recent stuff. They put up clips of videos and stuff, drops off quite a lot before then. One of the things I'm loving is, that I'll just say for your benefit, is saying, oh, we played Aston Villa in the Premier League back in seeing their name in back then. It's fantastic. Just learning about all these little nuggets of information. Bristol, should say Bristol City, Bristol Academy were actually Bristol Rovers. The original Bristol City went on disbanded.
Yes.
So that's the thing. Just things you learn that you would not. Little gems like that. So
it's just not talked about, is it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you. We do,
Thank
Adam. We'll have to get in touch about you coming back on again.
Absolutely.
And Paul, of course, where can people find more of you with your Antiques and Breaks?
You can find me if you wish. And see, I proved tonight I can be nice about Arsenal, which is hopefully rebuilt the reputation a bit, and it has been a pleasure, mainly because of Adam. You know, I cannot be bitchy about Arsenal when someone like Adam is talking about them. You can see
you gave it a good go.
Fair point. You can find me not bitching about Arsenal, but probably definitely bitching about Manchester United, and Coventry City as well, at Paul W Radio, and you just add the funny little blue sky bit at the end. And you can also, hopefully this season a little bit more, find me on the Since 71 blog, which I used to write for and then stopped writing for a little while, and hopefully might be putting the odd article on there as well.
Hey, and we love it. And if anyone would like to find more of me, I'm at T4T Writes, pretty much everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it, Blue Sky, everywhere. Or if you want to find out more about Aston Villa women, we have a new podcast called The Part of the Pride, and that's live Thursdays at 8 o'clock. If anyone wants to come and join us. And we've got, speaking of specials, we had our Manchester City special. If you haven't checked that out, please do, with the lovely Mr. Crunk chocolate. I will get it out. Coolest man in the world. So please do go check that out. And we've got a Villa special on the Villa pod coming out very, very soon. I'm sure Sam won't mind me saying as well. So yeah, we absolutely love what we do, and hopefully you guys have all enjoyed it as well. So I'm going to end the stream really, really slowly so nothing cuts off. But thank you so much to everyone watching, listening on playback. We do appreciate it. And remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. So thank you so much. I'll be back next week. Thank you.